Hello, hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, SKC? Oh man, it has been a while. Um, so what have I been up to? Nothing much, just working, you know, doing my thing, thinking about life in general, keeping the family good, right? Keeping the family secure, raising a proper lady, um, nurturing my family. Just regular stuff, just regular stuff. Nothing crazy. Um, just a few things I wanted to go over. Maybe some sacred cows, or maybe some, unpopular opinions. But I'm gonna start out with Mike Rowe. Hey, hey, what's up, Laughing Dog? D Rock Dan, salute, salute. Where was that? I'm just gonna be cruising. I think I'm gonna do this. I think I'm gonna do this. Get off my lawn style. I've got some salty snacks. You know, a nice cold glass of beer. I'm just gonna work it out in a uh, Saturday night by myself. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So let me start out with Mike Rowe. Oh, wait, can you hear this? Wait, can y'all hear that? Hold on. Hold on. Stop screen, present, share screen. Did I hit the? I did not hit the sound. There we go. All right, let's do that again.
I'll tell you what scares me most. I read that 36% of Americans still believe the American dream is a thing, which means 60 some don't. So we're living in a time right now when a lot of people have come to the conclusion the system is rigged and that there is no hope for them.
All the guys that I grew up with that have been successful or not successful, it's all the same thing. It's whatever I got, whatever I put into it.
Yeah.
If I do the work, good things will happen. And now the message is, well, if it's hard, don't do it.
Nobody wants the middle-aged dude on his porch shaking his fist. But I would also say that anybody listening to this shouldn't forget the day you described when you stepped in to do a thing that you didn't anticipate doing. You took another road, and that road took you to a lot of great places. And so you have to be willing to pivot. You can't fall too hard in love with your own sense of where the road's going to go. I'll tell you what scares me most.
All right, so I'm thinking about this, and here's the thing: maybe, just maybe, the younger generation does kind of suck, just a little, because, man, the more I think about it, as a 50-year-old guy that has, got two, what I do, I passed two certifications last year. When I think about it, it has never been easier to succeed, to be honest. And I say that as, I recently went to Philly, and then just in a bar, a local bar, and I overheard a guy saying, he was having a conversation. He's like, "Man, we're paying $90K a year to be a machinist, right? And we can't get anybody to take the job. How can you not get someone to take a 90K job in this economy? And being a machinist is everywhere. Find me a community college that won't teach you how to be a machinist. Find me a community college that won't teach you CAD. Right? It's doggone near impossible. Like how? Where can you not learn that? Let me play this.
Weeks ago, an economist named Nicholas Eberhardt. This guy is brilliant. Wrote a best-selling book in 2016 called Men Without Work. Just republished it because the contention in the book is now on steroids.
Wow.
And basically what he's saying is, never mind the unemployment numbers. They don't matter. That's a depression era metric, and it doesn't tell us anything we really, really need to know. Here's what we need to know. 7 million able-bodied men between the ages of 25 and 54 are not only not working, they are not looking.
Mm.
They're affirmatively not looking for work. In peacetime, never has that metric existed before. We have 4 million more open jobs today than we did pre-pandemic, and we have 4 million fewer people in the workforce. I had a guy on my podcast just a couple weeks ago, an economist.
Okay, now in light of that, I told a guy I was shooting with him a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the military, and he's talking about the recruiting, and I said, well, if the prospect for a family, right, marriage and a family is bleak, why would men join the military? Right? What are they invested in, and what do they have to defend? He thought about it. He strokes his chin. He's like, we're sitting there smoking cigars, and he's just like, well, I think you got a point there. With the marriage rate going down and what's going on, are they invested? Why would they be? Right? So I think that is a huge part of it. Right? But it's also if you're being told that everything is terrible and the baby boomers stole all your stuff and they're holding it from you and life is a zero-sum game in which you cannot win, then I think that also plays a part in it. So now you have skilled trades that aren't being filled, and really the lower trades aren't being filled either. What's that say, SKC? Let me see. That's Wild Freeman company I'm building a white paper for, trains fiber optic splicing, horizontal directional drilling, seeking students but having a time doing. Exactly. It's like men have been convinced to drop out, right? They're doing the opposite of what it would take to change the world in which they live. Like I get the motivation behind MGTOW, but that is not going to work. Withdrawing from society is not going to work, right? It has to be a positive application of male authority for men to get what they want, right? I mean, that's emotionally satisfying to have women say, oh, where are the men, right? That's emotionally satisfying, but that's not going to change anything. I've said it not 1,000 times, but a matter of fact, Hood has said it too. Women are going to legislate their emotions, right? And their biology. Men withdrawing make them an easy target. So, you're fighting, an uphill battle. You're ice skating uphill. Stop doing that. There are jobs available. The best thing for men to do is to go out and conquer and be men, whether it's themselves, whether it's through self-discipline. They need to go out and do that. That is the only way, and vote differently. Really, they're going to have to affirmatively vote for the world they want. There's no way around it. Like there is absolutely no way around it. Yep, that is true, Jerusalem. That is true. And that kind of goes at the heart of long-term planning and discipline, right? They are going to have to see a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, even if the light at the end of the tunnel is just spending the money on yourself, you know? This whole the trend of infantilizing Americans and extending adolescence has to stop. You know, this whole this thing has got to stop. If it doesn't, you know, it's going to subsume us all. You know that
I have a bone to pick with America. So I'm headed to my serving job. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. Tell me why I make more money serving. I have my literal business marketing degree that put me in a cute $80,000 in debt. And I make more serving sushi rolls because I've been applying to marketing jobs fucking for weeks now. And the pay cut is insane. Insane. But the jobs that are like a cute 150 to 200,000 a year, I'm not getting those. I'm a almost 25-year-old, my birthday soon, almost 25-year-old chick going against, you know, corporate ass America, people with so much experience. All I got is my degree. You know, people say, get your degree, but then they don't talk about how you need experience. The degree was the experience! I need to relax.
the degree is not the experience. It's not. Now, imagine being 80K in debt just to be unskilled labor. Right? The thing she has experience at is being a server, and she's 80K in debt. You know, even decades ago, I mean, the early 2000s, they were saying the same thing. Like, this isn't new. They didn't just, oh my God, I'm super in debt. People were complaining about school debt a long time ago. So, and I used to have this conversation, and, you know, people would say, oh, you know, there's a thing about, you know, follow the money, right? The CEOs are bad because they're making so much money. Ooh, bad CEOs. So I would point out to people complaining about their school debt, well, how much does the president of your university make? Oh, he probably makes $300,000, $400,000. And then they look at you quizzically like, well, he's the guy who's profiting off of your debt. Not come to mention the administrators. Yeah, the administrators are making 6 figures easy, probably 200K. And they're retiring on 6-figure incomes. You're here 80K in debt, only 80K in debt if you're lucky. Some people well over that. But it never kind of dawns on them like, hey, wait a minute. The people who are making the most money off of this, those aren't bad guys either. You know? And me pointing that out, they would all just look at me like a dog looking at a new pan, you know, just wait, what? Like it never dawned on them that maybe the people who are telling them to go to school and find themselves were the bad guys. Hey, what's up, Deacon Dave? Laughing dog. One of them called in sick to stay home and cuddle with his girlfriend. Not joking, it's over. It is. It is. You're talking about a generation that has been made comfortable for no reason. You know, the extended adolescence of college it's breaking them. You know? So in the framing of the argument, I think is wrong, because the wealth of the 1950s, the immediate post-World War II wealth, is a historical anomaly. People need to get off this high horse of the baby boomers stole it from me. No, they didn't. They grew up in an economic bubble that they were not responsible for, And that's it. Like, really, that is the end of the conversation. The rest of the industrial world was in ashes, and America, untouched by this, converted all their wartime factories into building, refrigerators and dishwashers and having lots of kids. That's not coming back, right? Let's just start there. That is not coming back. That is not your birthright. That is a historical anomaly. You're going to need to live like the baby boomers' parents, which had to actually compete. So it just means going to work, not killing yourself, not doing any other stuff, just going to work. And you have to realize that the system is not set up for that. The system is set up to profit off of you. So and I'll tell you this, man, going back to my earlier point about the administrators, right? So this university system, I worked for a UC system back in the day. They got a new president. The president brought in their own people from their old job. So this one lady in particular, who's seemingly her entire job was just to send emails, but she was an officer. And what you could do in California was you could buy into the retirement program with, I think, $50,000, or maybe it was 70. I can't remember which. But either way, you were able to buy in, right? And after 5 years, you were vested. This lady came in, bought into the retirement system, and retired almost 5 years to the day. And I almost lost my mind. I mean, one of those company-wide emails they send out when they say, hey, this person is retiring and da-da-da-da. I hit a reply all and went on a paragraph-long screed about what is going on. And this was in California, this is after 08. And California was in dire straits financially. I'm like, what is going on? This lady's going to reap a 6-figure income, and she was able to buy into the retirement system and be vested in 5 years. Like, are you serious? That is unconscionable. But, people can't figure it out. Like, college is, in fact, college is not a scam, right? All of the extras are. Because if you stayed home and went to a college you could drive to, you can cut your expenses are a part-time job away from being either completely debt-free or almost debt-free. So, it's just, it's not that bad, guys. It's not. I used to use, what is that called? Haynes manuals. Who remembers? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember Haynes manuals. Show you what that is. Wow. So yeah, you were able to use Haynes manuals. And if you don't remember, this is what they were. Literal paper manual to tell you how to change your brakes, to tell you how to change your oil, to remove your alternator, etc. This is what I had to use to work on my car. Now you have YouTube, a video encyclopedia of car repair. How are people unable to work on their cars? I'm bewildered. How does that work? How does that work? Let me look now. Let me see. Audi replace headlight. Audi replace headlight. So now someone is going to tell you how to replace your headlight. Right? In a complete video library with caveats and everything else. Now, how are people unable to change their oil in this environment? Right? Almost the entire history of human civilization in the palm of your hand. How? So one more example, right? My CCNA, bro. God. I got my CCNA. I had to go learn on physical equipment in a building and type on, physical equipment, put the cables in. I had to do all that to learn to get a Cisco certified network associate, right? And that class is still available at most community colleges for some places free. I got it for free. Even if you're paying, what is it, $20 per credit hour, if that. I mean, come on. Listen. How are we complaining when you have these tools? This is Udemy. Udemy has lots and lots and lots of tools. Right? Now you can learn anything. You can learn an entire career on Udemy. But and now what, we can't make any money now? How could we not make money? You know what I mean? It's not, and this is not to say, all y'all suck, right? I don't want to say that, or all young people suck or anything like that. But there are tools available, man. There are enough tools available that you shouldn't be sitting around pissing and moaning. That's for damn sure. That is for damn sure. I mean, if we want to, let's see, micro, CAD, here, learn CAD. Oh, a full course for free. It's a 6-hour course on learning CAD. Wow. What are we? Learn auto repair. Learn auto body repair. Oh, like are you unable to go to a body repair shop? And listen, for the last, since maybe 2018, I have yet to meet a tradesman that did not tell me he could not find people to work. No one has told me, said, "Oh man, there's so many people applying and just it's garbage out here. No one knows how to do anything." Dude, the guy who replaced my I had him do some work on the house. Bro, there was a kid that showed up. He said, "Man, yeah, he comes. He's, his motivation is so, but he shows up every day." And he sounded extremely thankful. Like he's just showing up every day. And showing up is most of it, to be honest. You're going to learn something. So, yeah, maybe less complaining about the baby boomers as the beneficiaries of a unearned economic anomaly that benefited them greatly. Fine. That's over. It's not coming back. You're talking, if you want to compare your current situation to Detroit in the 50s when it was the richest city in the world, you're never going to meet that. Like no one is. No one in the West is likely to ever be that rich again. You're not. So you're going to have to put in some work, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, which is don't get into huge amounts of debt. And here's the other thing. Men love teaching men. Men love teaching men. If you wanted to get in somebody's hip pocket and learn a skilled trade and be able to afford whatever you want. You want to go hunting, fishing, you want to do all that, do something aspirational, I think there's too much cheap entertainment and too much time eating. Go deep sea fishing, man. It's better than. I don't want to bang on video games, but it is better than video games. Sorry. It just is. So, and I don't say this to be discouraging. On the other side of that, on the other side of working hard, I can tell you that it's worth it. Because, bro, it is so much better. Oh, my God. Right? Just treading water in my 20s sucked. It sucked. It did. It's terrible. And it gets better, and there are jobs out there. I mean, good God, man, it is so much better now. Matter of fact, where is? Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, man, Death with the hobby. Oh. Yo, and that's a good point, Free Zone. Right, that is a good point. The massive amount of mediocrity means it's extraordinarily easy to set yourself apart. Very, very easy.
Up, find your dot first, lean out. Switch sides, switch feet. Up, find your dot first.
Oh, here it is.
Stop. 17.
Yeah, man, have some fun, bro. Have fun. Live your life, right? And get your hobbies on, man. I heard in the space, like, they're like, what is that? Oh, you old guys, you ain't doing nothing. No. You just spend all your money on your family. Man, bro, married guys make so much money that they can spend most of it on their family and still do more than single dudes. I mean, that's just the truth of it, right? Go out and get the 90K. Go out and get the 90K CAD job, right? And make us look stupid. So, anywho, that's all I had there. Now, I tried to ignore this. I did. Tried to ignore this. But it kept popping up in my timeline. So I'm just... Communita Chronicles. Talk about low standards. Good gravy. Man, listen. If a dude with a ma'am, if a dude with a full-time job and a full set of teeth looks at you twice, it is a blessing. There is no way. 7 kids? 7? Man, what are we doing here? What's going on? And I tell you what, I tell you what, where is this? So where is it? Come here. Now I would have left it alone, man. I would have left it alone. Look, men will have 7 kids with 7 different baby mothers and still find love. What? She has 7 kids with 1 man. Like, that is like, she didn't climb Mount Olympus. I mean, if you have 7 kids, you figure out a way to freaking work it out. But here's the thing, there's a high likelihood she's not married, which is just like, okay. So you had 7 kids unmarried. Yeesh. And if you are married, you should have stayed that way. Figure it out, bro. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Oh, one more. But, I'm just going to old man this. So what would you like women to do? I mean, okay, single women own more homes in the U.S. than single men. See the problem yet? Right? They're trying to move on without men. That's kind of the problem. What would you like women to do? Be homeless while men sit at home complaining on the internet that women don't want them? If men are capable of taking care of women, then women will take care of themselves. Be a man, attract a wife. This isn't a problem. And I said, man, 2030 can't get here fast enough, man. Really, if Western women that don't want to get married are ready to just be part of the gypsy tribe, then that's fine. That's cool. I'm not stopping them. Right? I am not getting in the way at all. It's just not doing it. It's not going to be my responsibility. Don't ask me about it. When they start running these articles about how there's no men for these ladies, don't look this way. I'm not telling any men anything. I told them to go get a job so they can get better hobbies and chill out, right? And should they buy assets? Sure. Do they need to buy a house? No, because women nest. That's why they buy houses, because women nest. A man that isn't married and has a family and all that, he can live in an apartment for the rest of his life and be good. And women hate that. But so what? You just, oh well. Like, oh well. And yeah, man. Now this other weird one. Okay. This other weird one. Darn it. Do you recognize this woman? Bro, do you recognize that woman? Put a 1 in the chat if you recognize her. This had to hit my timeline like 3 or 4 times. And I'm just like, what in the world? You know, me, random chick from Instagram. I don't know. Just some random Instagram. I don't know. What do I know? Oh. Who knows who it is? Like, who recognized it on the first take? Right? Yes. Yes, Free Zone. That is Serena Williams. Dang. I'm like, what are we doing here? What is this? What is this? You know, and it's funny. I went out earlier today and went out earlier to this brunch spot, took my mom to eat, and you know, I'm just, you know, people watching, and there were so many young women with a bunch of stuff injected into their faces. That is just not attractive. That is absolutely 100% not attractive. And it's weird. These 2 girls were sitting next to each other, and one looked completely normal, right? She's just, whatever. Younger girl, you know. They were both dressed, you know, attractively and whatever. But the other girl had all types of injections, and it was just obvious. Like, she was really going for Nicole Kidman Batface, and I was like, ooh, like that is a hard no, man. I mean, that is a hard no. Like, I don't get it. It does not look good at all. You know, is there some sort of a site where men are asking for this that I'm unaware of? Anybody in the chat? Is someone asking for this, and I'm just the guy who doesn't know what's happening? I mean, it could be. You know, maybe I'm just that old married guy. You know, but yeah, I think yeah, it's crazy. Stop putting that stuff in your face. For real. Oh, for real. So, oh, and let's see. Yes, what, Shaka? Yes, there's somewhere that men are asking for this stuff in women's faces and I'm missing it. So we're gonna. This is a blast from 2 weeks ago, but oh, gonna listen to this real quick. I saw this on another page. Yeah, that is a good point, Laughing Dog. And there is, God, I got another video of a chick who, where is it? Where is it? There, that's a good point. I should have these queued up, but he brought up a good point, so I'm going to show this video. Where is she? Oh, well, here, let me play this while this is playing, and we'll get into this. Notice the body language. Oh, muted. Oh, darn it. My bad. I'm muted. How'd that happen? Let me stop and reshare.
Somebody got to clean up the park with it. So
You hear it now?
Got to be. So I grew up between these. But so for me, I don't really put a lot of emphasis on what you are. Just now, you love my people. I go. So when I say I married a black woman, Walter Williams said there's only one case he agreed with in terms of segregation. And people are like, well, what is that? Because you've been rethinking your right and conservative. And he said, that's when it comes to marriage. You should marry a black woman because who's gonna understand me? Who gonna understand my pain, my strife, my struggle? Who's gonna understand culturally how important it is for my black children to be proud to be black? Even when she didn't birth these children, she's still their mother. Nobody's gonna do that like a black. Yeah. Nobody's gonna.
Yeah, that whole. Here we go.
And that's not putting down other people, but that's before you criticize me. I'm gonna look at your life decisions. And if you know what I'm saying.
Now, he's about to get into a mode in which your quote unquote blackness is defined by who you marry.
If your life decisions didn't bring you to a black woman, then a lot of the shit you say might not be a credit to me. So I got a critic, I got a critic. Yeah, I know this don't like me. I know this don't like me. I don't act like this like me. You know what I'm saying? This has been accused all kind of. But when I see that nigga white, when I see this again, I'm putting this to the side. I'm pulling your card because you can't critique me about being black. I live in a black neighborhood. I grew up in a black community. I didn't move 3 exits from the neighborhood I grew up in. Still helped the same black high school and college and elementary schools I went to. You can't get blacker than me because when I wake up in the middle of the night, I wake up next to a black wife. That's right. And she blacker than all us because she geeky. That's right. That red motherfucker was geeky.
The worship of black, right? And dirty folks said it. Women, gays, and felons.
You know what I mean? She talk language I don't even understand. They get talking about that water dead, all that old. You know what I mean? I be feeling like I'm gonna roll for laughter. You know what I mean? So you can't be black with me because I love black people so much. I married one of us, and it's to the death with me. So you know what I mean? My thing is, if you criticize me, I'll be all the way right. If you criticize me from the white folks, you gotta be all the way right. And if the motherfucker on your arm not black, I'm gonna talk cash shit, not on camera. So I'm gonna pull you to the side, and I'm gonna say, why your wife ass so flat? I know.
Thoughts and prayers. And I played this on purpose. I played this on purpose today because I wanted to have the experiment went horribly wrong in the first hour. But I wanted to have one of these nuanced conversations. So I had planned the show out. I was going to talk about Killer Mike. I'm going to play this clip that's going around right now that Smith tried to play where he's talking with RFK, which I'm probably not going to play because I think it's a little bit irrelevant at this point because he has been proven to be a little bit problematic and people are roasting him. But this is broader than just, this person is problematic, so we're going to cancel them. No, we should be having these conversations with each other and ourselves. Rashawn.
Yeah, I agree. I can't co-sign. I love black love. I really do, and I want our black men with black women. But I can't write off I can't write you off because of who you fall in love with. I'm always gonna uplift black love and push for black love. But if you happen to fall in love with a little Asian lady, a white, I can't hate you for that. I can't write away your blackness for that. And so with Killer Mike, I'm gonna have to disagree with him on that. Just kind of like I disagree on those politics that he gets to speak.
So I'm gonna say this with my full chest. As a black woman, I smiled when I was watching that, because when you go on these dating apps, black women are the quote unquote least desirable. I'm watching something called Love is Blind, and for the first time, a black woman is desired. A dark skinned black woman is desired by the white men on the cast. Everybody is like, maybe they're objectifying her too, but she is the. The center of the affection of a lot of, and I was like, yes, because everybody wants to feel wanted and desired, because most of us grew up with the white ideal as the source of beauty. Like this is beautiful, and you're the opposite of that, so therefore you're not. And we've had to find black as beautiful in our own way. I leaned into what he said because as a black woman, I was like, yes, to me, especially if you are fighting for our rights. And it makes it complicated because then there's Harry Belafonte, you can't question his commitment to the cause, but then it makes me say, well, why couldn't you find someone who could love you? Now, get love is love, but there are certain things that are going on in this world that kind of requires you to have somebody to understand you. I hear you though. I hear you, Rashonda Tate. I hear you. And you're not wrong. This is a conversation I think we should be having.
So if I put you in the room like I told the other young lady, if I put you in the room with the kind of men you say you want and desire, and they were non-black men, would they pick you to be a wife?
No.
If I
But
put you in a room with the kind of men you desire, and they were black men, would they pick you to be a wife?
I think so. I do think so.
That is so fucked up, people.
Well, because I don't like, I'm gonna tell you.
I like how he walked off. Same group of people. Same group.
Yeah, I'm definitely open for the discussion. There is a fine line you draw. You know how you used to see the Black Panther dudes back in the day, and they would come and they power to the people, and then they have the whitest plain Jane girl they could get. If you fall in love, you fall in love. What I don't like is the black man that has written off the black woman because she's this and she's that, and I'm only going to do this race. So that's where my issue comes in. So I definitely get what Killer Mike is saying. I just don't want to write off love, period. I may just be more of a I guess one of the ones that's always looking for love, but I don't want it at the expense of a black woman.
It could be those 60 books that have had those themes in them, that you have crafted these stories. That's where your imagination goes. I just think, we have to do a lot of self-examination to move forward, and a lot of healing, and, having these conversations I think are important. But let's go to the phones. All the lines are lit. We're going to go to Texas because that's where you...
Well, get ready, boy. Put on your freaking, get your air sickness bag, because this is just... Eesh.
You are. Rashonda Tate is with us. Michael in Texas. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show. Hi.
Hi, Karen. How you doing? Good to talk to you again. I have two sons, and fortunately, or unfortunately, how you want to take it, they married out of the black race. I love my grandkids and stuff. But me, I'm pro-black. I prefer the black female. My wife.
Yeah, it's unfortunate his son's married out, but watch what he says.
Together in high school. Been with her since 1982, and we've been together ever since, and we're still together. I prefer black love because I agree with Killer Mike. I don't care for Killer Mike, but I agree with him on that. When I have black issues and someone cops stop me and talk to me crazy or try to do something disrespectful to me, she can relate. And that's what he's saying. That's all.
So why do you think your son's made a different choice?
And now here it comes.
Because their mom is a very strong woman. She always has been. She had 9 brothers, but 9 brothers and sisters. She's 10 kids altogether, and she's very independent and strong. And I love that about her. I'm a truck driver. I'm always on the road, so she can handle things for me.
You hear that? Here, I never heard that.
When I'm not there, woman. She always has been. She had 9 brothers, but 9 brothers and sisters. She's 10 kids altogether, and she's very independent and strong. And I love her. She had 9 brothers, but 9 brothers and sisters. She's 10 kids altogether, and she's very independent and strong. And I love that about her. I'm a truck driver. I'm always 9 brothers and sisters. She's 10 kids altogether, and she's very independent and strong. And I love that about her. I'm a truck driver. I'm always on the road, so she can handle things.
And that is the conditioning of a gynocratic subculture. You want a strong woman. They want it.
For me, when I'm not there, I don't have to worry about her. I think they tend to. They was someone that was not as aggressive as their mom was. She's a very aggressive young lady. She's very quiet, but she's aggressive when it comes to certain things. And I think they took that because that's what they fell in love with. They didn't want that challenge. Sometimes I call it, because they're not challenged.
That's interesting. Rashonda, you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, because see, when he said that, you know, I'm sitting here, I'm touting one love, but I want my son to bring home a black woman.
See, because it says something, right? Because
Yep. So she's full of what? Hey, I can't write off anybody about love, but I need my sons to pick black women. Okay.
on so many levels, you know, I remember, you know, I was dating a guy and I brought him home and my dad said, finally somebody who looks like me. Not that I was dating outside the race, but my father was very dark skinned. And so for him, it was like, oh, you know, like I was being a colorist or something. And I didn't even notice that he noticed. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, duly noted. It wasn't even something that I had computed. It wasn't like I was bringing white guys home. So, you know, for him, it was like, you know, you want to see yourself in the people that your children bring home because it validates you as a parent, I guess, because something.
No, it doesn't validate you as a parent. It validates you as a person. Validates you as a person, not a parent. What validates you as a parent is the choices your kids make. And most especially is how your kids raise their kids, right? If you were a terrible parent, you know, all of your sons married Keishas and had a bunch of Pookies and they all get Fs and joined street gangs, you were a terrible parent.
To his point, though, that's very interesting. And I wonder how his wife feels about that.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. So one of my girlfriends, you know, my son grew up around his two sisters and myself, and we fuss and bicker a lot. And my girlfriend used to always say, he gonna marry a white woman. Because y'all always, he's a baby. He's like, y'all always fussing at him. And, you know, I would hate to think that's true, but what the caller just said, I think that's very real.
Ooh, okay. 866-801-8255. It's interesting. And I'm gonna be, you know, transparent. Again, love is love. We're not racist. But I do bristle at a couple of things. The first,
hey, when comma but just negates everything you said before the comma but. Just whenever you're speaking and listening to someone, actually when you're listening to someone not speaking, they say comma but, whatever they said before that comma, they did not mean.
So I think about, okay, 866-801-8255. Interesting. And I'm gonna be, you know, transparent. Again, love is love. We're not racist. But I do. It's interesting. And I'm gonna be, you know, transparent. Again, love is love. We're not racist. But I do bristle at a couple of things. So first of all, I think about especially the very wealthy. And there's some billionaires and their spouses are white. And I think about legacy. And you're ostensibly leaving your wealth to, you know, to it's not going back into the community. And I just think about that. Just because marriage is a contract.
That ain't your money. That ain't your money. That ain't your money, sweetheart. That's my money. Right? What you eat doesn't make me poop. What I eat doesn't make you poop. And that sacred cow, I'm going to kill that sacred cow. That whole our community thing, the community is over. Community is over. It's over.
Leaving your wealth to, you know, to it's not going back into the community. And I just think about that. Just because marriage is a contract of, it's really about money. Marriage is a contract not of love. It's a contract for property and things, which is why legally you have to get in and out of it, right? Because it's not just about your heart. But you know, that's none of my business, I guess.
Yeah, now I do have a problem with, and I don't know why these billionaire athletes and billionaires in general, if she wouldn't talk to you if you were broke, then why is it that that's the epitome of I have arrived when you're rich? You know, and a lot of them will say because the black woman's mouth. Which I think is a cop-out. But I really do. I agree. You know, they're funneling that money back in, and we're not building that generational wealth when we're taking it outside.
Right. Be sure, Patrick Mahomes' kids will not be raised as black children.
Oh, darn it. Yeah, I was on mute. So that whole, yeah, you're right, Hood. They wouldn't talk to me who was broke. But guess what? Bronny Bronny's girlfriend was there when he was in high school, right? Non-black women are pursuing black athletes and black men in high school, right? How many of us know a black man under 30 that's never dated a black girl? Probably lots, you know. And I used to think it was proximity, right? I used to say, oh, it's probably proximity. But people I know and have asked that, yes, black girls were available, but they didn't like black girls. The black girls weren't nice. They either weren't nice in general or not nice to them specifically, while you have a whole other subset of non-black women who are actually nice to you. I mean, what are we talking about? And you can tell it's a whole jealousy thing, because you know what? I think, who is that? Kobe. Besides Kobe, I don't think they've ever complained. Besides Kobe, I don't think they've ever complained about a Latina, but there are tons of athletes married to Latinas, and they don't seem to worry about that. Just an observation.
866-801-8255 is the number. Somebody even said, well, he doesn't even identify as being black. And maybe that's good. Maybe eventually it won't matter. That's the world I want to live in.
Yeah, man. So that caller is really the real reason that gynocracy exists. And I was having this conversation with Dr. Thunder, and you know, he kept referring to the system, you know, air quotes, that promotes black women. And my point was, quote unquote, the system is black people. Right? The system is black people. Who's in charge of Baltimore besides black people? You know, and then the kind of cop out is the structure, right? Who's it's the structure. What structure? Representative democracy? Because I mean, they were voted in, right? The members of the school board are voted in. Well, who put them there? Well, who voted for them? I mean, there aren't other black men in that political structure, and that political structure that's full of black people, including black men, put those black women there. That's all I'm saying. So, you know, I mean, there is no, because you know, the more I think about it, and what is it? I think Dirty Folk says a lot. Women do only what they are allowed. And who was allowing them to do it? Right? Black men with agency are like, I'm done with this. Deuces. You know, hey, if I find a black woman that isn't on the craziness, sure. But other than that, I'm taking the racial filter off, and I'm going to go about my business. And if you do that, you know, your likelihood of marrying being with black woman is just, it's low. It is what it is, man. It just is what it is. So, and actually, I wanted to go over my appearance on Doc Thunders to further illustrate that. I had some points I couldn't get out, so I'll just get them out now. Oh, I should have put Doc Thunder in the mention. Darn it. Well, we can talk about it later.
Ones who are just doubling down, they're not focused on this. They're doing their job. They're driving results right now while everyone else is distracted by the nonsense.
It's a really interesting topic to kind of examine and discuss, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes going forward. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's see here. Let me go back. Yeah, let me go there. That's good. No, that's not good. That's good. Let's see here. We're going to pull Freedman's Journal up here. Let's see Let's do this.
Post post affirmative action right until today. It's just affirmative action in new clothes, and it's really part of the incompetence hierarchy, basically. You have your competence hierarchy and your incompetence hierarchy, and there's the incompetence hierarchy wants somewhere to go to, right? They want a job, they want to get put here or there, and this is all part of that effort, in my opinion.
Now, let me ask you about okay, so first of all, yeah, I mean, I do talk about supremacy. Okay, I do talk about supremacy, but my frame is not to say everyone is doing this to you, even folks that they don't care about you, they don't even know you, they just trying to do their own thing, right? Whatever. But my perspective on this has to do with the structure. So there's a structure that's been designed and set up to create a lot of the foolishness that we see. It allows the foolishness and it promotes it. And what I'm saying is that structure, and you can call it by lots of different names, I would say that feminism is part of the structure. I'm saying that that's a proxy of white supremacy. Okay, now you might not like me saying white supremacy, I get that, and I don't like hearing it either from okay, this brother's trying to come up with another excuse, here's this again. But that's not the way I approach this. I approach it like each individual still has to do what they're supposed to do. But you can acknowledge that there is a way that this thing has been designed to create these sort of bogus issues over and over. Is it just trying to come up with another excuse? Here's this again. But that's not come up with another excuse. Here's this again. But that's not come up with another excuse. Here's this again. But that's not the way I approach this. I approach it like each individual still has to do what they're supposed to do. But you can acknowledge that there is I approach it like each individual still has to do what they're supposed to do. But you can acknowledge that there is a way that this thing has been designed to create these sort of bogus issues over and over. And even if people in our community have embraced the dysfunction,
What I say about comma but,
made it part of themselves, and continue to repeat it, it still didn't originate from them. So what do you think about that? I'm curious.
It's awfully nebulous. If this is the way, let's say, a criminal prosecution worked, no one would ever be guilty of anything because you're not tracing it back to a specific action of a specific person.
Well, I can get a bit more specific with respect to mechanisms. So I could say, for instance, obviously we could say slavery, then you could go past slavery. You could say, okay, there are actually laws on the books that were specifically targeted against, people of color, black folks in particular. And then you can say, okay, there's an incentive structure incentivizing women to choose the state over their men. Okay. And then so you can point at certain events that seem to be the beginnings of the stuff. But to your point, I don't know that you can prosecute anyone other than the government. I don't know that there's anyone that you can single out and saying, hey, this is dirty bastard right here, he's the one that owes.
So I use the example of black women in the school board. Okay. Yep. And then your response to that was, well, who put them there? Well, let's flesh that out. Who actually put them there?
And I realized that they were voted in, but who disproportionately made it so that it was mostly black women that were probably running for that? Okay.
Black culture.
Okay, so you can say that, but who gave the grant funding, the disproportionate support to get the degrees?
Who writes the grants?
Say it again.
Who is writing the grants? The grants don't write themselves.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, here's the thing. No matter. All right, real quick, I'm going to play this video, which I think encapsulates a lot of the reason why.
That you may not have thought.
I think encapsulates a lot of the reason why. Truism. What is truism doing? is the reason why that people cling to a specific narrative about what ails black people, because it's gone so far they can't give it up now.
So there's a lot of people who can't move on this, because that's the people who've transitioned their own children. So those people are going to be like, you know, the Japanese soldiers who were on Pacific Islands and didn't know the war was over.
Right.
They've got to fight forever. This is another reason why this is the worst social contagion that we'll ever have experienced. A lot of people have done the worst thing that you could do, which is to harm their children irrevocably because of it. Those people will have to believe that they did the right thing for the rest of their lives, for their own sanity and for their own self-respect. So they'll still be fighting. And each one of those people destroys entire organizations and entire friendship groups. Like, I've lost count of the number of times that somebody has said to me of a specific organization that has got turned upside down on this. Oh, the deputy director has a trans child, or, you know, oh, the journalist on that paper who does special investigations has a trans child, or whatever. The entire organization gets paralyzed by that one person. And it may not even be widely known at the organization that they have a trans child, but it will come out. Like, people will have sort of said it quietly, and now you can't talk truth in front of that person, and you know you can't. Because what you're saying is, you as a parent have done a truly, like, human rights abuse level of awful thing to your child that cannot be fixed. There are specific individuals who are really actively against women's rights here, and it's not known why they are, but I happen to know through the back channels that it's because they've trans their child. And so those people will do anything for the entire rest of their lives to destroy me and people like me, because people like me are a standing reproach to them. I don't want to be. I'm not talking directly to them. I don't spend my time bitching about them. But the fact is that just simply by saying we will never accept NATO males in women's spaces, well, it's their son that we're talking about. And they've told their son that he can get himself sterilized and destroy his sexual function, and women will accept him as a woman. And if we don't, there's no way back for them and their child. They've sold their child a bill of goods that they can't deliver on. And I'm the one who has to be bullied to try to force me to deliver on it. So those people are going to be the people who will keep this bloody movement going, I'm sorry to say, because they've everything to lose. And it's a fight to the death as far as they're concerned.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is why, if you've noticed, successful blacks are reviled. Right? The only way back for a successful black person is to validate the concerns of the community. Like, LeBron James went full woke. Matter of fact, what was that? Who was that guy? There was some police officer. There was two Keishas, and one Keisha was about to stab another Keisha. So that Keisha got shot by a police officer, and then LeBron James's account said, "We're coming for you," or issued some thinly veiled threat. You know. So now what do? That's how you get in the good graces of the community and be wealthy. That's it. I mean, the clannish nature of it. You can't just be successful and say, here's how I did it. You can do it too. Oh, no. There's some supremacy. Some supremacy somewhere that's holding you back. Right? Because it's somebody's excuse. And that's what trips me out. The people that will use that say, hey, you know, it's not me. You know, it's not me. You know, I'm not, but that's somebody's excuse. That's somebody's reason. Somebody somewhere, the supremacy got them. No matter where we go with this, there's always going to be not a white man at the end of that action, right? Who's right? Because it's in the Moynihan report, right? It's in the Moynihan report, right? Black when they tried to target black boys with scholarships, right? Well, boys in general, the black group disproportionately favored the women. Yep. Even when they tried to give it to men.
Yeah, but what caused that? Why would the black community do
that? Why? It's the culture.
Yeah, but what you see what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm after what is producing. Why would we want to do that? Like, why? See, if you look at other cultures, they don't do that.
gynocratic. That is how gynocratic matriarchal cultures function.
I understand that, but is there something different about?
See, there's always the reach back. The white man did it, and actually, I concede that. Not necessarily that point, but I concede the genesis. Right? Because yes, you had slavery. The women got here well after the men, sent them in there. Women prefer the winners. And that's it. That's really, it doesn't get more complicated than that. It doesn't. Right? It's not some supreme grand conspiracy. They're not your women. They're not your women. They never were. They never were. So let me show this. Okay. So, here it is. Daniel Thompson of Dillard University, in a private communication on January 6, 1965, writes, as low as is the aspirational level among lower-class Negro girls, it is considerably higher than among the boys. For example, I have examined the honor rolls in Negro high schools for about 10 years. As a rule, from 75 to 90% of all Negro honor students are girls. What? Dr. Thompson reports that 70% of all applicants for the National Achievement Scholarship Program, financed by the Ford Foundation for Outstanding Negro High School Graduates, are girls. Despite special efforts by high school principals to submit the names of boys. What are we talking about? When it is all in black hands, the girls are preferred. All right, the finalists for this new program for outstanding Negro students were recently announced. Based on inspection of the names, only about 43% of all 639 finalists were male. However, in the regular National Merit Scholarship Program, males received 67% of the 1964 scholarship awards. 43% versus 67%. And this 43% is kind of close to another number. Kind of close to another number. All right. It is. So, mothers' academic stereotypes and education-related beliefs about sons and daughters in African American families. Right? Negative stereotypes about the academic abilities of African American boys may create a negative feedback loop, thereby contributing to the maintenance of gender gap in African Americans' educational outcomes. What? You don't say. You don't say. And what does that actually look like? Where's the chart? Where's the chart? Come here, chart. Here it is. So, beliefs favoring girls, 67% of sample. So, beliefs favoring boys, 8% of sample. Neutral beliefs, 25%. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
The formation of this, we call it a community, but it's really not.
It's not. It's not. The black men were here hundreds of years before the women. The women came later and were, it was assumed to be the natural counterpart to the black man. But I mean, I don't know. A lot of people can't get over the fact that that may in fact not be true. Because available evidence says we're not treated as the and were it was assumed to be the natural counterpart to the black man. But I mean, I don't know. A lot of people can't get over the fact that that may in fact not be true. But I mean, I don't know. A lot of people can't get over the fact that that may in fact not be true. Because available evidence says we're not treated as the natural counterpart. The available evidence says it's a gynocracy. And it's always been that way. Right? And that is the terrible truth. That is the terrible truth. Sorry. Not your women. The more you look back, if you look back at any type of study of the Black community between Reconstruction and today, it's all the same. It's literally nothing has changed. We're not talking about anything that's happening today that wasn't true 40, 50, 60, 100 years ago.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. So, but still, something got that started.
Yeah, slavery. We can just say that right out the gate. The men were here first.
I agree with that. I agree with that. So, but still, I agree with that. So, but still, something that
he does not agree with that.
So, but still, something got that started.
He does not agree with slavery. We can just say that right out the gate. The men were here first. The women came later.
Okay.
That is the genesis. That is the foundation. That is the flour, sugar, butter of the cake. Great. So moving forward.
Yeah, and we haven't even started talking about solutions, because I think that solutions are going to require that people don't use slavery and other things as personal excuses and reasons why they didn't accomplish anything.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, the interesting part of that is nobody really does that. They don't say it personally. They talk about other people, right? It's obtuse, right? They're like, oh, Black people, this, that, and the other, but they're never, ever really talking about them. That is Bigfoot, the guy who says, yeah, I'd be making X if not for racism or white supremacy. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, but okay, so I agree, but we also know that the way that they would say that so that they could be sort of part of, you know, the benefit is they would say it about other people or their group. So I take that as being the same thing anyway. When I hear people do that, but that's also group. That's sort of part of, you know, the benefit is they would say it about other people or their group. So I take that as being the same thing anyway. When I hear people do that or their group. So I take that as being the same thing anyway. When I hear people do that, but that's also.
Hey, so let me answer SKC's question. In your opinion, why do you think Doc vacillates on this issue? Because of the trans video I showed. I mean, it's too terrible to contemplate. Because if you accept it as true, then what do you do next? Right? If you accept that, you know, they're not our women and our pairing is incidental, not, you know, endemic to race, then everything else falls apart. I mean, how much of your belief system would you have to set on fire to accept that as true? And then what would you have to do in your actual actions if you accept that as true? It would have to completely change. You know? And shout out to, you know, Doc Thunder. He said Black men should date Black women first, i.e. they should have first right of refusal. Which is, I mean, whatever your opinion is on that. Yeah, I'll play that's Kevin Samuels video again. But it is what are you gonna do? So it's too terrible to accept.
Why I think there's I want it to be understood that what it is that I'm saying and the frame that I'm providing is not for the sake of giving the community an excuse. It's not like,
but it is. But it is. Because look, even when I concede, not even concede, I don't even think that's a concession. That's the historical fact. That's what happened. You know, that is the historical fact of slavery. Happened to a lot of people, right? Not all Black people come from slaves, you know. Oh, maybe are black women that come from free people different from black women that come from slaves? Just a simple question. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. Let me keep going.
We're like this because of this, so you don't need to do anything about it. It's more like these structures that black folks have cozied up to, that we have thought that, oh, they're trying to help us. Actually, they have been a proxy or a direct, arm of supremacy that we actually need to look at them with a side eye. What is your actual motivation? Why would you be coming into why would you be attempting to disproportionately prop up the girls in the community? Why would you do that? Why would you create more incentives for the girls to get, to do, small?
Who is you? Like, why would you do that? Who is you?
Businesses and blah, blah, blah. Why would you be doing that? Why would outside of the black community locations, be intentionally coming in and focusing on the girls? Why would they do that?
Are they doing that?
Yeah, they're doing that.
Are they? Because hold on, let me just like in the Moynihan report.
Sure.
They tried to get benefits for males, but among the black populace, it was disproportionately female. Right? You gave benefit A, right, and then the black community returned benefit A as tilted towards the women.
Yeah, I mean
that's like a direct thing. It doesn't matter. You could say, doesn't matter if you gave black people in general money for a humongous school, right? They already control the school system. No secret white man is going into Baltimore City schools and giving black girls a better outcome. They don't have to. They don't have to go in there and make a black girls rock program. They don't. Black women will do that all on their own, and black culture supports it. Black men support it.
Yeah, you're right about that. Here, let me use this as a frame of reference here. My Brother's Keeper. Okay, so it was one of the things that Obama actually proposed that I actually thought would have been a good thing if the initial version of it was what actually happened, right? But of course, what happened is the same old thing that always happens. The black feminists came in and said, hey, but what about the black girls? And then basically it got all metered out. Inclusion, right? And I've said this multiple times. Inclusion is code for screw the black guy. So once that starts happening, then it's like less and less impactful for black boys. And then you end up basically with nothing or something that is not focused enough on a particular thing so you can see if it actually moves or not, And so my point with that is, why did the black feminists come in and do that? Right. And you can say, well, it's the community. And okay, yes. But the talking points in this prioritizing their womanness over their blackness, what is animating that? What is causing that? And of course, it's white feminism, which was embraced by black women. And even this divestiture rhetoric that we hear, all it is just a little more dust on the black feminist stuff, which is white feminism. And the white feminists, they're talking all this, you need to be strong, independent, and you don't need no man and all this kind of stuff. They're the ones that they gave them that sort of. They didn't say those exact words, but that's where that disposition and attitude comes from. But they were going home to their husband, and and that's a totally different sort of dynamic. But my point is, the feminist thing, the girl power thing, that seems to be more impactful at destabilizing our community, and it's definitely a proxy. I mean, it's definitely didn't originate with us. Prioritizing that, hyper prioritizing of that strong, independent, don't need no man stuff, that didn't come from us.
Now, see, I not concede, but I actually said yes. The genesis is slavery. Boom. Right? If you are to accept that, right, without having it be some nefarious outside force of which black people have no control of, then you got to set everything you believe on fire. And you actually have to do different things. You actually have to do different things.
So what do you think about that?
So let's say I concede that. Okay, it's white feminism. Now what?
Well, I mean, I would just say that white feminism is a proxy of white supremacy. I mean, look at. I mean, it clearly is. I mean, it clearly is. No, check it out though, because when I say white supremacy, I'm not targeting the white man. I'm not talking about the white man. I'm talking about the entire structure, because the structure has benefited the women and the children. It's a structure. Their patriarchal structure is a structure that favors and benefits and is designed to protect the women and the children. And when the slave master died, his wife continued on as if nothing had changed. You know, so they're all benefiting. And when you look at what happened with affirmative action, this becomes super clear. As soon as Title IX goes in, where you can consider women as a minority, though white folks are the majority and women are the majority in this country, then 83% of the recipients are white women. And then what does that do? Since they're going back home to their husband, so empowerment for them equals they still go back to their home to their husband, and they're sharing that money, that 83% benefit, with their husband.
Yep.
That's a different. That's what I'm saying. It all ends up going back to benefiting them, and it's like a shell game.
Okay. Here's the truth. There is a great stir about colored men getting their rights, but not a word about the colored woman. And if colored men get their rights and not colored women theirs, you see the colored men will be masters over the women, and it will be just as bad as before. So I'm keeping the thing going while things are stirring, because if we wait till it is still, it will take a great while to get going again. Huh. They were never on your team, and it didn't take feminism to do it. So my question would be, how many black boys can read because of what you just said?
Look, man, I don't disagree. With this line that you're saying.
And here's the thing, I concede the point of, or I said, okay, so it was caused by feminism, then what? There was no action step after that. Okay, yeah, okay. Let's say I concede that. It sure is feminism. Now what? It wasn't step A, step B, step C, awesome black community. That doesn't exist. The whole point is a belief system in this thing you cannot feel, taste, or touch, or even describe beyond nouns of they and descriptive words of structure, right? There's no real description. It's a structure, which can be anything. These are just nebulous terms.
Don't disagree with that, but I still think that that's more on the solution aspect of this. How are we going to progress beyond just talking about what the source is? So, and I can agree, and I think that for the most part, people that spend a lot of time talking about white supremacy like this, they're not actually, they don't actually have any ideas about how to fix that issue. So I take your point.
So, yeah, it doesn't. All that does is take energy, right, from a solution. And you can say that, well, I'm not trying to give people an excuse, but I mean, well, you can say that, but that doesn't mean that's how it works in real life. Because in real life, that is going to be latched onto as an excuse for whomever wants it.
Yeah, but the thing is that I can't be held responsible for the way that people, misinterpret and, quote me out of context and take, cherry pick something that I said for the purpose of promoting their narrative. I mean, that's an impossible standard for anybody. Let me.
And that's a good point. That is a good point. That is. It does not change the culture, though, because the culture is the problem. There is it isn't a single one person that uses the excuse. It is the continuation of a culture, and it is that group of people, right? Well, just like the trans video, that they have to protect themselves from the answer. Like, matter of fact, man, I gotta find that video. It's a clip of Or I was on Bernard's talking about school choice with BGS, and I said, "Hey, you got to vote them out." Right? BGS opinion was, "Well, I'm gonna shame them with stats at the school board and not vote them out." Right? If you accept that they ain't your women, voting them out is easy. If you still have this romantic fantasy of the black community, voting them out would break your heart.
Just get a couple other folks in on here. This is. I think this is a good conversation. Thanks for coming up, Freedom. It's good to see you up here. AD, what? Well, actually, let's see. Let's do it in order. Mr. Royce J, what's happened?
And to
Wanna
white
fast
man
forward
was
some.
examples that no better. Really, the kids have
around me, on Dusty Ninjas, valid black women of this. That they were. That you're. Let me share this.
I'll see if I can find that clip.
Oh, I did bring it up. And here's the thing, man. I think the gynocracy is going to go mainstream because too many people see it.
When
I mean,
when you say mainstream, because I mean, you already have Rollo Tomasi already calls, society today just it's all a gynocracy.
Right. But what I mean to say is
Go ahead.
the way we understand it. Right. Not matriarchal leanings or whatever, or all this stuff is for women. But I mean, the gynocracy, the way we in this space understand it, will be mainstream.
So
because I'll give you an example.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go first.
No, I'm going to look up an example. Go ahead.
Okay. So here, so one thing I wanted to say, because I happen to think that this supposedly now now academia is sensitive to the issues of men and blah blah blah. You hear people talking about the boy crisis and like this. Now they're actually admitting that there's been this pendulum swing. They act like they're surprised by the swing, like they weren't the ones that pushed it over there. That they weren't happy every second that it that they were pushing it. But it's just interesting that well, I don't think that. Okay, I said before I don't think that they're doing it because it's the right thing. I don't think that they're doing it because even because even because the white men are being displaced and their numbers in colleges and stuff are being impacted.
They're not going. They refuse to go. They talked about that about a year back for the first time.
I think it's created a small percentage less money. Musk, it's like this, bring up pretty. And that has the opportunity. They have to say it's cold.
A lot of guys will think we see like certain things.
It's like we're harder than women because they're the first kind of stuff. It's always that same kind of stuff, and it's like
nothing changes. It's all the same.
Yeah.
Nothing changed.
All right. Well, here let's Freeman's Journal. Did you find the example you were looking for?
Oh, about the backlash? Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's get Better You in while you're getting your
little something to our maleness. And I put it like this: they see the fact that we're men, and they don't recognize the historical disparities of black men in the same way that they do for themselves. So they'll look at somebody like I'll use myself for example. They'll look at somebody that comes from a little town in South Carolina in the middle of nowhere, and they'll look at these programs that are designed to funnel resources into the girls. There'll be a few that make it out. Those are your exceptional ones. And everybody else who couldn't, they'll look at those guys and they'll say that there's something wrong. Like you were a man and you couldn't make it out of here, while ignoring that you came from the same circumstances. You had help and I did it.
Yeah, I especially like this overlooking critically important detail.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So forget stuff like but in almost all the thing is that now jail.
On my channel, I named 5. In fact, I did that because whiteness was
on one side, the black would necessarily do it at the other side. Come out, look. Get on your knees, let me put a cow out in your throat. Put it in your butt. Come out, look. Get on your knees, let me put a cow out in your throat. Put the hole, let me see, drop it to the floor. I'm ready to freak out from the jump out the fucking door. I want something in your butt.
That's 7 kids and 7 daddies.
Oh goodness.
Oh, and here's the takeaway. Hold on. Black mother privilege. I don't have the black mother privilege. Set up, but yeah, black mother privilege.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. I did a stream years ago as far as the women having every beneficial structure since
there's a.
This is the Moynihan report. I think I snuck that in there.
That's general mainstream. About you. That's 100% true.
The entire educational system is geared towards girls.
Yeah,
Extreme it is more extreme in the Black community.
Yes,
right?
you're
And,
right.
black, and I think we have to transition from, well, if you want something to change, the transition from saying, well, women are running it, that's fine, but women are not running it without the assistance of Black men who like it that way.
Yep, that's 100% true. That's 100% true.
Can I throw a quick question back, Doc?
Go ahead.
How much I've been aware of a lot of the stats that you and Mr. Freeman have been talking about. How much of it is simply that there is a bias, and how much of it is that the pedagogy itself isn't suited the best for boys and young men?
Okay, so I don't have a date on this, but early on, and this is general. What I'm talking general, it's not specific to Black. This is general, and this would have been more specific for white communities because of segregation in schools. What they did was they started noticing that the boys, because of the style of teaching, the boys were being left behind. The girls were producing faster results because girls can sit in a chair for longer and they're content with opening a book and sitting in there and reading like this. Boys want to go and do something. They want to work with their hands. They're a little more rambunctious. Their infrastructure is still sort of, it's full of all of this extra energy because of developing, the bone density and, in height and everything else. So they're still supercharged for growth. And so sitting down in one place is just more challenging on average for boys to do than it is for girls. Okay. So they noticed that the way that the educational product was being delivered was biased towards the girls. And so they said, hey, we got to do something because we're leaving the white boys behind. So then they changed it for a short period of time, produced much better results, more of a balanced result. But then they changed back. So they knew that what they did was to the benefit of the boys, and they were creating more balance in the educational experience, but they switched back. Apparently because the girls weren't laughing Dusty Ninjas, I guess, anymore. So
that kind of reminds me of after World War II, and when Truman, when he did what he did to basically reward Black men for their being valiant in this nation's wars, and we see what happened during that time. With the buying of houses and jobs and stuff. It's like you see the same thing, and then they said, "Oh, we need to go back to the plantation model and put Big Mama in charge." And that's where the welfare, that's where it expanded to single mothers and different stuff like that, and not being able to the requirement of not having a man in the home and stuff. It was like they had to push the system back to the
let's in the show, let's go around and do some final remarks, and then I think we're going to end for today. But first, let me acknowledge the $10 super chat from Gregory Scotland, always in here, always supporting, much appreciated. It says, let's face the many I think that many ABWs simply don't rank very high in terms of substance, regardless of degrees. Many are weak at having conversation of consequence and have a lack of quality character traits. Yeah, I mean, I want this. So here's what has created this dynamic. Why is this the case? And even way back in my, I was just mentioning Malcolm X, and how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in his conversation with Malcolm X and talking about how hard they needed to be on women, and him complaining even back then about them being half naked in prostitution and everything else, and talking about poor character traits and why it's so important to be upfront and critical, is because they're the ones that teach the kids. They indoctrinate the children. They're the first teachers of the children. And so
there's a Black person first, and what you're seeing is it's one of those things that
everything we're seeing, we know
very few. And by the way,
as I mentioned,
enforce consequences. I mean, here's the thing: nothing is going to change. Okay, so actually, let me start over. Class separation at all costs. Class separation will create a vacuum that others can get sucked into, and then Black people are going to have to lose this emotional attachment to low-class Blacks. Right? Black rednecks need to live next to white rednecks, and out of sight and out of mind. Stop subsidizing bad behavior, right, in all its forms, whether that's Section 8 welfare, whatever. I mean, we cut it all. If you look at the federal budget, healthcare and what's the other thing? Healthcare and like generalized welfare, you can balance the budget, and Americans would be significantly richer. Like if you're paying taxes, you want to get richer, cut that out. Like deflation means your money is going to be worth more. So yeah, class separation at all costs, and make people make that choice. Like you either want to follow the Black redneck pole of Black culture or the educated northern pole of Black culture. Which one do you want? you force that choice on people, and turning the corner from Black women to include the Black men of the gynocracy that like it that way.
Yeah, and that's very important. I was watching, I think it was the Whatever podcast, and this white guy, I don't know his name, not the host. He was saying, look, you're not going to like this, but the only reason that there is feminism and empowerment and stuff is because men allow it. And then and they were like, no, that's not true. He says, well, let's walk you through it. How are you going to police people violating, your empowerment? How are you going to police that? Who's going to do that? He boxed it into a corner, and people don't like this idea because they think that they have more control and power than they do, right? But the fact is that the structure is still underpinned and supported by men primarily, and so the men are the ones that actually, for the most part, are at the controls. So, and you can't really do anything about that. Men.
It's the men. It's the men. Obstacles to opportunities. Salute, bro. How are you?
Good. See you out here working late.
Yeah. Got the wife and kids out of town, so I'm like, well, what am I gonna do tonight? Let me just hop on live and give my opinion.
Putting in that work, I see you.
So what's your take?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. What was the thing he just recently spoke about? He said something about men allow it. And I think there was a good example about this. I'm not going to say his name, but a commentator was speaking on it. And basically what happened in Afghanistan when the American forces left was that the girls or the women were going to school, right? Because that was a more Western principle being kind of instituted in the land. But soon as the American troops left and the government, right, the Taliban went to the school, right? And so we had the guard forces that were hired by the Americans, etc., right? The men were there protecting the school, right? They were security guards and etc., right? But as soon as the Taliban came over the hill, those men said, wait, I don't care if these girls go to school. I'm not going to be deleted off of this. And they dropped the guns and left. And so net, what does that show? Men protect the same things that they're complaining about. They create their own problems in this particular area, right? Because women don't throw no revolution, right? They didn't pick up no armaments. They just basically, it's other men in service of those women that do these things. So when we look at a society as a whole in the West and we say it's X, Y, and Z, it's by our own creation.
Yep. It absolutely is. Absolutely. And it's also, here's what I want to show. So King Randall took some heat, I don't know, maybe last week before last, about trying to show black boys how to survive a traffic stop. And so these are guys commentating on it.
Ryan, white man owe us some money. We built this country. King Randall out here doing good for these kids. Oh, he's the ops. He taking white folks' donations. Lick a cat's balls. That's what you motherfuckers do. Eat cat shit. You're not pro-black if you take white people donations. You heard it from me first, chat. Throw pro-black in the fucking gutter. In the trash. If you have to say you're pro-black, you're a fucking coon. What do you guys say you're pro-black for? We know you're black. You look chocolate as hell. You don't have to tell nobody you're pro-black. Either you black or you're not. You say you're pro-black. You're a fucking coon.
Who you talking about? Oh, now you coon hunting? Now you coon hunting?
What's the problem when y'all say, oh, well, white people are donating to your organization, and you say white people need to be given to black organizations? So what exactly are you looking for? I'm just saying, I don't know no white racist people that I think would be donating to a black organization. I don't see why a Ku Klux Klan member would be donating to our organization, teaching black children how to be successful. I don't understand. But anyway, I'll go back to being a coon and all these other racially charged names y'all keep calling me because I want young black men to be successful. Y'all take care of yourselves. Peace.
Why do you think King Randall is taking heat?
Well, I think that there's been great titans throughout all history of all cultures, and they always took heat from a lot of people and critics, right? So, I mean, regardless of how you feel, Elon Musk puts rockets in space and people got heat for him. So Randall, even though what he's attempting to do, you could look at it and say, wow, but people don't understand what he's doing and how complex it is, right? And then, of course, they might have issues, like people have issues where you get the money from. They want to, of course, control that. Where is it coming from? Well, if it's coming from this, then it's not this. And I used to deal with this a lot in the circle when I would say, if a gentleman was, let's say, was into the same sex or whatever, somebody would be like, he's not allowed to be with us. I'm like, but what if he knows how to make nuclear weapons? You're just going to discourage him from being with the group because of this? And they were like, yeah. So the same thing with him. He took the money from somewhere where somebody else thinks he shouldn't, and then they want to discourage him. But, you know, he's got to keep moving forward, and he will keep moving on. And those people, they can't think on the same level as he is. He's out here getting it done at the end of the day. So congratulations to him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Salute. And, well, I tell you what, I've had this pinned tweet since October. All right. A while I commented ago that you have no idea what you're up against, RE trying to educate black boys. Now you're finding out. If you want to help the boys, take them out of the community instead of using them as sacrifices, which is another thing. But the point is, he's helping black boys, and that's his real crime.
And taking them out, that's really good.
You know, he was taking. Who is this? Oh, then Amazing Pucus. I don't know. This guy's such a weirdo, man. This dude was like an Obama voter, then he was MAGA, and now he's like some sort of a weird pro-black. I don't think he's stable mentally, but so everybody's coming to King Randall for what? For what? If he was helping black girls, I don't think he would face any criticism, like whatsoever.
No. He'll be on Front Street, but net, I think that, you know, when we look back, I mean, like I said, the black community or even the white community made the same mistakes, but the majority of actually history prior, men dominated teaching. Yeah. And it wasn't until the 1800s where women started to attempt to basically take over the teaching profession. And so now we have, of course, the larger numbers of females, right? And literally the no males. But net, I think when we think of things like women are the first educators, it's more of a misandry or a gynocentric mentality we have. And so we kind of just say that, but we don't even know what we're talking about. And so I think that's also Randall. He's really just changing the landscape. He's showing you what happens when men really take charge of teaching and educating.
Right. And they should be. And so, you know, it's that I think white supremacy is striking again here because Fox News, for some reason, has lots of hits and appearances by King Randall on their program. A man who is not taking public money. And that's another thing he doesn't do. He does not take public money. He is completely privately financed. Completely. And gosh, you know, do with this information what you will, but it seems that Fox News is somehow a huge supporter of King Randall. I mean, he's got so many appearances, it's crazy. And 0 on CNN and 0 on MSNBC. Do with that information what you will. So, yeah, man, I support the dude. And, you know, he is welding, teaching them welding. He's doing drywall, you know. And here's this weirdo. What is this like Taliban mustache on a black dude, man? What is that? Anyway, so he's sitting here trying to help help kids, and guys are like, oh, they're violating their rights. They're supposed to be doing this. They're supposed to be doing that. It's like, bro, you can't help black men do anything. But anywho, let's see what
And
else.
also,
did I have?
it
Go
really
ahead.
matters too, like what you're teaching, right? Like, of course, because if we say like he taught black women X, it have to be, of course, we'd be like, wow, they would promote that. But it depends on what he's teaching them too. Like if he was starting to teach them like cooking and cleaning, that would be insane, right?
Touche. Yes, that is true. If they were teaching them cooking and cleaning, they would definitely have a problem with that.
So I guess if he was there teaching them all how to rap, it would be completely fine. You see what I'm saying? If it
Mhm.
was a sports club, it would be completely fine, right? But when you're
Yeah.
talking about trade and becoming competitive, it becomes an issue. And I think also black men don't understand a lot of times that, just skin doesn't make you, like I said, lock and step with the same mission and purpose. So net, when you look at your, let's say females or women or even just any other group, they're going to have a different agenda, right? And so we're like, well, we're supposed to be together. We're supposed to work with each other. No. The world doesn't work like that. And so we don't think that black women have their own interests too, and they have their own goals. Ice Cube had to learn that the hard. I came out with a plan for Black America. And they're like, well, where was our clauses
Exactly.
in code? He was like, no, but that's us. And she's like, no, it's not. That's y'all, but we need our own segment and section. He's like, all right, pull up then. Come build it with me. Come pull up. Nobody pulled up. But he had to learn the hard way. Like, nah, they got their own agendas.
Exactly. Yeah, and that is the terrible truth. Because if you accept it, then you have to do things differently. You just like they can't do it. And then Cam Newton getting beat up. Well, he didn't really get beat up, but he was I don't get that. He was trying to break up a fight between two teams and then ended up getting jumped by a coach. Like, what? Come on, bro. And yeah, in SKC, you're right. That is the truth. That is black culture. Roland Martin, a black man, will attack King Randall, whose biggest crime is helping black boys, but protect Tiffany Henyard. Right? And he had to backtrack that a little bit just because it was so over the top. Right? I mean, she basically made a fool of him that he had to rewind it a little bit because she was so out of pocket. But he allowed all that to go on. So I guess one of his producers must have let her up and just let her say whatever. But yes, you are correct, sir. You are correct. And gosh, I mean, I think that's it. I think that's it for this show. I think that is it. So the the community, I think, was that Hood? Is Hood still here? He started the community is like trans. Where is that comment? I should have saved it. But yeah, it can't be acknowledged. There it is. Black culture is a psychological equivalent of trans in your child. Yeah. And that's the other thing I want to go over. Here it is. So, black people really have a choice to make. Right? Where's these pictures? They absolutely have a choice to make. Come on, picture. Okay, so this is, let me share my screen. Okay, so this is Chicago, right? Black people are like evacuating Chicago, right? Some parts of Chicago saw half the black population disappear. Okay, so they give you the different neighborhoods and how far it's contracted. I mean, look at this. Inglewood, right? The Inglewood Walmart is the one that closed, right? So that neighborhood, and I said this earlier, I was like, man, the black community is just going to be a de facto reservation, right? It's just going to be like the elderly and baby mamas and victims. That's it. That's all it's going to be in there. And this is the epicenter of that whole Walmart episode and the riots and all that. And just the stores are leaving. All the Aldis, everything is evacuating. But where did black people go? Right? This is where they went. Right? These areas. And why is this significant? I'll tell you why. Because this chart represents this map rather represents the exit polling for mayor. So black people moved from areas that voted for Brandon Johnson to areas that voted for Paul Vallis. They are running away from the community to more sane parts of the city, but I would be willing to bet these are far less black places of the city. Matter of fact, the village, I think Dalton's down here somewhere. Yeah, actually, it is down here somewhere. So yeah, we know the cycle, right? Black people leave, right? They get chased down by the community, and it turns the neighborhoods into garbage over time. Right? Are black people going to do that again? Or are they going to focus on class separation and say no? Right? Because it's seriously a crossroads. Because this is happening all over the country. Wherever you're at. Baltimore is shrinking. Memphis is shrinking. All these cities are shrinking. So what are black people going to do? They're going to let it happen again? Or are they going to say keep them over there? Because if they don't, we already know the pattern. So, yeah, man, it'll be interesting. I don't have the answer, but it'll be interesting to see the next couple of years how that plays out. So, anywho, you got anything else, bro?
Yeah, man. Hey, for anybody who wants to do better for themselves, do better. Don't let a lot of people, even just in the presentation, there was a lot of scapegoating. There was a lot of control and manipulation to who you should do, who you should marry, who you should be with, what you should do, and blah, 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 man. You only get one life. Yeah. Live it the way you want to live it. Nothing can stop you. Don't let anybody provide you with some narrative that entraps you, because I promise you, once you get outside of the pro-black community, there'll be another victim inside mindset community to get you. Once you get out of pro-blackness, then somebody else is telling you, yeah, man, it's about class issues. It's us versus the rich. And then it's like left versus right. And we've been victimized by liberals or conservatives. And the list goes on, man. So at the end of the day, you can't control none of that stuff. You control what you do. And my advice and my suggestion is economics is important. It's a conversation that is rarely had by a lot of people. And it's not that hard to outperform the majority population, quote unquote, the white population, because they're underperforming in compared to Asian Americans and newly nationalized immigrants and first generation immigrants. So net, this is the best time to make the most of your life and your position. So no one's going to give it to you. Power isn't given. Power. That's my advice.
Okay. Broke up a little bit there at the end, but yeah, man, I hear what you're saying. It is a good time to achieve, because Nietzsche was right, man. The yawning chasm of mediocrity is taking over the West. So just being a little bit better is not that hard. Not with all the tools that are out there. I mean, not with all the knowledge that is out there. Give up some time and dedicate it to either your craft, right? Your career, read a book, learn about finances. There's tons of stuff you can do to just be a little bit better multiplied over time, I mean, it's just that's how people actually get wealthy, right?
Yeah. And I think you made a great example earlier when you were showing that YouTube. I call YouTube University. Prior to all this, immigration of a bunch of entertainment, it was the
Mhm.
largest platform for how to do something. That was the largest. What's made up the majority of the videos. Now it's entertainment, but prior to that, people came
Yeah.
to YouTube to figure out how to do things.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
so what I was saying at that time was, man, I learned how to become acquisition manager for a real estate investment firm, all from YouTube. And I ran the firm, and I was the top performing individual, which I got offered partnership later. And I have no background from financing, no education, no degree, just learning from YouTube how to be an investor and learn about real estate. And so net, it's not like your ancestors, your grandma, none of that. It's a different time, and the internet is everything. So you could use it to take pictures of yourself, you hitting the gym, or you could use it to liberate yourself. As I said, you could choose the Coliseum or the library. The choice is yours.
Exactly. And on that, I think we will close. Appreciate you coming up, sir. I thank
Yes, sir.
everybody for coming through. SKC, Free Zone, Clue, Cool Kamasi, Shaka, Sigma Jones. Appreciate you. Hood Server, thanks for stopping through. Obstacles and opportunities. You want to drop your channel? See, where's your channel?
Yeah, you could probably do it too. Just obstacles to opportunity. We're spitting financial game out there, and just the mindset, guys. Because I could show you numbers, still you won't even want to put the numbers in the calculator because you think you can't do it because of whatever reason. So over there, I'm not for no excuses. I'm not for the people. I'm just for good people who want to do better for themselves, and skip out all the drama of everything else. So shout out to you, Freeman. You come to the show. I really appreciate that. So I wanted to slide through and provide some
Thank you,
content and some help, assistance on you building a great platform and putting in that work. And hey, shout outs to your beautiful family too. That's important. Shout outs to you.
Thank you, sir. Deacon Dave. Yeah, 2 hours is a marathon. I think I had one like 3-hour show back in the day. That's true. That is true. So,
Oh yeah, and then too, hey, stop believing in guns, man. I see you out here at the shooting range, man. That's not good, man. Don't
What you
believe in
talking about?
guns. Don't believe in guns, man. Give up your gun. It ain't right. That's not cool. You feel me? So go ahead. That's toxic masculinity. Give up your gun, and then you'll be a good American citizen.
I'm about to get real toxic. So, all right, thank you, sir. I'm about to wind this down. So I guess final thoughts, man. What are my final thoughts? It's worth it, honestly. It is worth it to just do a little bit extra, because honestly, everybody's making it easier for you. Everybody is absolutely making it easy for you by what they're not doing. You understand? So just that little bit extra can take you so much further. And don't listen to naysayers, right? The economy is not that bad, right? There are challenges ahead, but there are tools out there that you can use. So use them, and don't let any BS stand in your way, especially some community garbage about this, that, or the other, or the white man or the system or none of that. Who cares? You know why? Because somehow black people that are functional and doing the right things are seemingly immune. There's people who are doing what it takes black people who are doing what it takes to succeed are strangely immune. It's like they're vaccinated against that, oddly enough. So that is it. I'm going to play my intro one more time, and thanks everybody for coming through. Hey, Clue, you can hit the link if you want. Going once. Going twice. Oh, there he is.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I can hear you.
Is there an echo?
Yeah, my laptop had a seizure. It might not be.
Okay, let me
don't
close
hear-
down YouTube. Let me close down YouTube. All right. Echo should be gone.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Your the question why is King Randall getting all the heat? I have an answer for that. It's not a good one, but I have an answer for that. It's because King Randall is solving the problem and the problem is getting everybody paid. So if you solve the problem goes away. It hits people's pocketbooks, the bank accounts.
You ain't lying.
I mean, think about it. If racism disappears, what the fuck would Al Sharpton do for a living? Jesse Jackson. All those guys go away. They got to go on Indeed.com and apply for work. With that's why Roland Martin had such an issue with him. They want to say, bro, we need these problems. What are you doing? You're messing up our hustle. You are lowballing us. We need these problems to exist so that we can keep getting paid. Police brutality. You know how much money we made off of George Floyd? We need police brutality. Stop teaching these boys how to avoid police brutality. What are you doing, bro? That's what they want to say. I guarantee you that's what they want to say, but they can't.
Yeah, it is. Let me play this real quick.
And we spent $22 trillion during that period on programs to aid the poor, where 70 cents of every dollar went not to the poor, but those who serve the poor.
What percentage of it?
70%.
Oh, that's PBD.
The 22 trillion went to the people that serve the poor.
They ask which problems are fundable, not which problems are solvable. So in other words,
and that is it.
There it is.
Which problems are fundable? And all bureaucracies will ultimately metastasize whatever they were programmed to solve. If they get paid to teach Hispanic kids for ESL classes, English as a second language, and they get more money for that, they will either support politically a steady stream of students that will need ESL, or they will take the current crop of ESL kids and keep them ESL. Either way, that is exactly how it works in California. If you're
California used to be the place to be.
Oh, bro, come on, man.
It's worse than Darfur over there. It's horrible. Why would anybody live there?
Bro, I was telling somebody that somebody lives in San Diego now. I was telling them they used to water the freeways, right? There was ice plant on the edge of all the freeways, and it got water. And I used to think, why do they water an ice plant? It's ice plant. It's a succulent. You don't have to water it that much. Watered every day, green. Sides of all the freeways green. Now they're just brown hills, dotted with homeless tents. You know, if you look up to the top of the embankment, it'll be lined with homeless people in tents.
I've heard about that. And you can't, if you own a business in front of where somebody's sleeping, you can't run them off. You can't do it. You got to let them stay there on your property. It's man, what happened to California?
Well, they started subsidizing. Look, they started a bureaucracy around homelessness. And once they did that, what happened to homelessness?
Went up.
Exactly.
Now it's cool and trendy to be homeless. They'll take care of you. I had a homeless woman in Atlanta tell me she's going to catch the bus, or she's trying to save the bus to go to San Francisco because it's better to be homeless out there.
Yeah.
She actually said that.
What if you subsidize, you get more of. I mean, and it's really, and what happened to the Black community? All it did was get subsidized. That is it.
Yep.
It's not a grand conspiracy, right? You gave the degenerate side of Black culture free money. That's what happened. And it metastasized and it grew. That's it.
Free money is the quickest way to kill a group of people.
Yep. And like I said earlier, you can't accept, the supremacy answer, because then what? Because then the answer to Black dysfunction is cut off the money. And nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing that. Nope.
Nobody who believes in white supremacy is like, oh, let's just cut off all the money. Nope.
No, we need more. Like SKC would say, we need more programs. More.
Had programs since civil rights. From civil rights to today, tons of programs. None of them work. Like not one. I tend to ask people, say, hey, what is a quote unquote program to help that someone put money in that was executed and there was a positive benefit on the side? There are a few examples like job training. But job training wasn't really free money.
Right.
You just you got training, then you enter the free market to get a job. That actually works, but you can't grow that and scale that into a bureaucracy.
Mm-mm.
So why put money there? So, but anyway, it is what it is.
And another thing I said was that I've noticed that the number one hater of black men is pro-black.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to ask this question to somebody, maybe a Jason Black fan. Would you work for Jason Black or a Klansman? They're going to be like, oh, Jason Black. And I'm saying, watch 3 streams front to end and tell me if you changed your answer or not. You're probably going to change your answer. Listen to the way this dude speaks about his quote unquote brother.
No, there is
hate. It's hatred. Now they love black women, but they hate black men. It's hatred.
Yeah, you cannot. There's no real middle ground with matriarchal culture. All right, there isn't. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to kind of get along with it." You can't do that. Right? You're going to get sucked in, and they're going to try to destroy you. Period. There is no getting around that. You know, like King Randall is going to take heat. Right? Period.
Yes. It's only going to get worse for him.
Black men in the aggregate are against hierarchical culture and black male authority, especially. Who you think you are? Who you gonna tell me nothing? Right?
Yeah.
Like Hood was playing the video of Cam Newton getting heckled by kids. Right? Just like
what?
Oh, yeah.
Damn, I missed that.
Yeah.
It was a montage too. It wasn't just like one incident. It was like all the incidents. It was years. This is apparently what they do at his camp. I would have been stopped showing up for you little bastards, bro.
Straight up. Like, bro, what are you talking about? These street urchins are talking trash like I'm just some ninja off the street. Like, what are you talking? I'm providing this camp. Like, you know, just that's the thing. But here's the thing. That is black culture. Right? It
is. It's defined by dysfunction. I think you said that. You said that like last year. Defined by dysfunction.
So, and that's why people are running away from it. Like I showed that map of Chicago. People are running away from it. Matter of fact, did I put up? Let me share this. I put up. Oh, where is it? Oh, here it is. Racial dot map. So even there is no black community, bro.
No.
Like there
doesn't exist.
And when I say that, I mean functional black people do not coagulate into some sort of mass that is going to become quote unquote black people. Right? Even a city like Jackson, Mississippi.
Because once they become productive and they move up in society, they unite with other Americans.
Exactly. Like if you look at it from out here, you can see the yellow dots are black people, right? The blue dots are white people. Here's the.
What region are we looking at here?
We're looking at Jackson,
Mississippi.
So it's dysfunctional. Man, I had a whole show on Jackson. Jackson is a complete asshole. But
yeah, Jackson's like Memphis 2, Memphis 2.0 or something. It's bad.
Oh yeah, it's jacked up as it is, right? There are still suburbs. So best suburb in the area is called Madison. Madison is on the north side. It's got, nice schools, but it's 10% black. You think black people are doing drive-bys in Madison?
Nah.
They're not.
Whenever they're in the minority, and I learned this from going to a predominantly white university, They're on their best behavior. There's no gangs. There's no violence.
See, but
none of that stuff. They don't even want to argue in public.
I think that's a self-segregating thing too. I think when you find the minority black people that live in like the PWI areas or they're at the institutions or whatever, there's a little bit of a self-segregating class financial thing going on as well. It's not like you get your poor blacks who've been raised in the ghetto. They're not the mud blacks. They're not coming up from the mud. You know what I mean? They were born in the suburbs.
Yep.
Well, no, not
intact families and all that stuff.
Sometimes, but even when, but my point is that there isn't a there's this like general notion of there's going to be a black community once we throw off white supremacy or something, and I'm like, I don't think so, because functional black people don't really coagulate. Functional black people are very integrated, because this is Madison and this is just. You can look at the yellow dots and the blue dots. There's no coagulation.
Here's the weird sort of racial analysis on that. And if you can still catch like Tommy Sotomayor, he posts a lot on Twitter now, and or X. But he had a video recently that I saved where he basically said, you know, blacks haven't really built shit since slavery, and the only reason they did that is because they was in slavery. And I think the joke in that is, even like if you're not being super racial about it, black people were more of the community that we seem to aim for before we defeated civil rights. I mean, you know, white supremacy or whatever, right? Because you can't really defeat white supremacy. That's not a real goal. But before we kind of won the civil rights battle, we were arguably more of the community that we're trying to be. It's a weird thing. It's like we left the dream to chase the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's actually, I made that they made I was making the point on Twitter that the irony of it is black people went full W.E.B. Du Bois, while at the same time, right, they had the Immigration Act in 1965 and Latinos took up the Atlanta Compromise. So you got all your rights and all your bennies, and you created a black political class that benefited off of black dysfunction, and all the progress of the Atlanta Compromise strategy was thrown away.
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry, I want to cut you off. No, I thought you were done. This kind of reminds me of a little bit of the conversation SKC and I were having the other day, the whole class war pill thing. And we got to the point about somewhere along the conversation about black culture and the argument about like how come they didn't choose Thomas Sowell, right? They chose these other guys to be their leaders. And I don't know if it was that simple, because like when you get back to that 65 sort of generation, and I kind of use that general time period as a demarcation point, like the black people that you know we aspire to be, that's who we were then almost. And I think learning what I've learned over the last couple of years, especially like about the battles with Dr. King that I just learned recently, how, you know, Dr. King had a whole arch nemesis that was pulling in a completely different direction. And I don't think it was so much that black people just, you know, quietly chose to go like, you know, full communist. There was like literally a battle for the hearts and minds of black folk, and the communists won.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, Thomas Sowell, reason why he wasn't chosen is because he doesn't have a defeat white people story. You know, Black History Month is all about, we're going to showcase these black people that defeated white people. Well, there are no black people included in Black History Month that either got along with white people or had nothing to do with white people. They all had a defeat white people story.
Even to talk about Thomas Sowell in that regard, to know in his like life story, he was a young Marxist, right? So probably around the time of the civil rights movement, he was probably gung-ho with all the leftism, right? But by the time the Thomas Sowell that we're familiar with, that we are endeared with, he came after all the decisions were like after the battle was won, you know what I'm saying? So by the time he got popular, becoming sort of a right-leaning thinker, the die was already cast against him.
Like if Malcolm X became popular after Mecca. Something like that.
Right. You couldn't start out talking like that. You know what I'm saying? He had to build up that cachet before he could come back and be like, you know what? I think there was a little bit of bullshit going on. My bad.
Yeah, there was. You know what? It was a shame. Truism showed on his channel a documentary of the 1968 race riots, and it's a shame how many people just went full communita. Man, a guy in my intro, what is his name? Percy. God, what's his last name? He's the physicist or chemist, but he was in it, right? Talking about the travails of Black people, and I'm like, bro, this guy is extraordinarily accomplished, and there is no way he is not living an awesome life in 1968. And it's just like, hey, supporting the rioting. Like you're burning stuff down 3 years after the Civil Rights Act. Like, dude, that blows my mind.
That's the weird dichotomy of like the preaching the Black condition, so to speak. Because if you get like a person who's poor and destitute or whatever, and they're talking all this, white people held me down, it's easy to kind of get into the personal with them, like, well, what decisions did you make in your life? And then you can obviously make an argument that white people didn't hold you down. You made poor decisions, right? Then you flip the other side of that coin to the TV, the professional Black people is how I like to think of it. Like it's their job to go on TV and be Black, right? And these are all the most successful people in the world. And it's like, well, how are you a message for white supremacy, and you're living a better life than the poor motherfucker that was crying about white supremacy? And he obviously made a bunch of bad decisions. You made all the right decisions. Life's going well, and how are both of you crying about white supremacy? It's a weird thing when you really peel the curtain back and look at it.
Right. It is. Yeah, I don't get it, man. It's, I met me and my wife went to this wedding, and we met a couple that were, another, Black middle class couple, and they were just lefties living in Northern Virginia, talking about just the same lefty tropes. And I didn't know him that well, so I wasn't gonna, spoil the party. But I was just thinking, like, how do you think this way? Like, you guys are upper middle class. Your kids all go to good schools with other white kids. I know you don't live around Black people. Like, I know this, and yet, like, it's crazy. Like, I just don't. That's why I played that video, man. It's like you said, it's like being trans. They just can't let it go. They cannot let it go.
What they feel, the successful Blacks feel like they owe the hood something. That's where you get the saying, "Don't forget where you come from." Only niggas say that. No other race says, "Don't forget where you come from." You owe the lower class an explanation as to why you're higher class. That's what it is in the Black community.
Yeah, man. It
is wild because it's not like the hood helped you get out the hood. You know what I'm saying? It's not like motherfuckers are selling bean pies so I can go to college or some shit.
Absolutely not. It's like the people who are actively trying to keep you in a depressed state now want you to give them your resources without any obligation whatsoever. Right? Give back is an amorphous term of, we just want something for nothing.
Nah, and it's so funny about that whole weird gives back thing, because like I just dropped my son off and shit. We was fishing today, and like I'm taking him back to the hood I used to live in, I grew up in or whatever, right? And so I'm walking him home, and I was telling him, like, you got to get out of here as soon as you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, dreams die in this place. Nothing good is born in this place. You got to grow up and get away from here. And the only reason I was even here so long is because you guys were here, and eventually, had to leave anyway. But that's the thing, bro. You got to get out of here. That whole give back to the hood shit. That's you you're just gonna be trapped. That shit is a trap, bro. It's a mental block. That whole thing is a concept that kind of keeps you in the hood when the whole point is to get out of the hood. The hood should be transitional. You know, it's a place that you make it when you're going down the ladder or coming up the ladder. You shouldn't be stuck in that motherfucker.
Hmm. Yeah, it's no place to end up. It's not a goal. Like Killer Mike was like, "Oh, you can't mess with my blackness. I'm here and doing this and doing that and da da da." Like, who cares? Like, good for you. I'm not dodging bullets and getting robbed at a liquor store just so I can be quote unquote black. F all that. Nah, no.
It's like these HBCUs when they throw a party. First thing they'll do is they'll invite the thugs to live across the street from the university, so they can tell them, "Yeah, I'm still down. I'm a biomedical engineer, but I can speak nigganese as fluent as you can. I'm still cool. I'm still down with you guys."
Here's the thing. Now, is that more for the girls because that's who they want to see, or is that because so the dudes in college can get, like, I don't know, street cred? It even sounds dumb saying that. Like, I think it's mostly for the girls.
It's both, but it's mostly the girls.
Yeah, that's sad. It is for the girls. Sexual access requires you be completely diminished, and see, that's another part of the pathology, right? That is that white supremacy, or do black women use sexual access to control black men? And I don't think the white man.
That's a given. Yeah, that's a given.
Mm-hmm. Where it's called? Where is it? Oh, darn it! This where was that thing? There was that chick who said, what did she say? There was that thing when a couple weeks ago she was talking about how she went from a private school to a public school, and she said, black girl said, "Oh, we'll introduce you to all the black kids if you buy us some Cheetos." And so she's like, "Oh, I bought you some Cheetos," and then she's like, "Oh, now I'm with all the black kids." I'm like, hell no.
What? That's the barrier of entry.
Right. I was like, no, bro, no. What are we doing here? That's not happening. And I was like, man, I'm paying for private school. I am paying for private school. And let's see. Oh, since I have this map up, Fun with Maps SKC. Yeah, like Shovels Hill said, freedom is scary to them. It is. Oh, that's another point, dude. Black people don't want freedom. They don't really want freedom. But
they want to be taken care of.
Yeah, they want white people to be responsible for them. That's why if you actually, like, so I'm watching social media when they start talking about reparations, and then as soon as they started talking about it, the number kept going up and up and up and up and up. They say, oh, 50,000 per person, now 100,000, now 250, now 3 million per person, right? I think it actually scared them. The reality of it actually happening, and the deal is you get this money, you can't talk about racism, right? I think it's scared. I think it was scary. So all of a sudden the number has to become a poison pill. That's what I saw anyway. But fun with numbers. So to my point earlier about not coagulating, how do you this is how I would choose where to live when I was moving around the country. I plot a Whole Foods. This is Richmond, Virginia, by the way. So I plot a Whole Foods, right? The Whole Foods is up here. There's one downtown. There's usually one downtown, but this other one is way up here. Let me see what's up there. Oh, is that in this area? Oh yeah, that's where it crosses. So that's right around here. Huh. So there's the Whole Foods in this census tract. Where is the Costco? Oh,
so it's no hood Whole Foods?
No, oddly enough. Here's the Costco. Wow, where's the Costco at? Let's see. That's where the highway merges. Here's the little interchange. Okay, let's see. Oh, the Costco's over here. Oh, look. Seems to be a black neighborhood. It's about 50-50 census tract, huh? Gosh, that's weird. And then where's all the Starbucks? Look, here's where the Starbucks aren't. Let's see where they aren't. And then where's that area?
That's where you need to avoid.
So here's where the Starbucks aren't. Uh-oh. Okay, well, we'll stay away from there. We're going to stay over here where the Costco is. And
Boy, I never thought about choosing where to live that way.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, bro, I should show you Austin. I picked a 24-hour fitness, a Costco, and a Whole Foods. They were all within like a mile of each other. Great neighborhood. Like great neighborhood.
The 24-hour fitness that's in Dallas. That's a good area over there, and off Central Expressway. That's a pretty good area.
And here's the thing: there's a Northeastern Democrat, white guy from like Boston area, right? I was talking about this. He said, "Friedman, that's racist."
Hey, it's effective.
I said, "What? What do you mean? I'm just picking the amenities that I want to live close to." Oh man, he was vexed by this, man.
So don't stay in the area that has a Church's Chicken.
Right. I don't want to live next to a Church's Chicken. I want to live by a Whole Foods, and I want to live by a Costco. Matter of fact, my dad worked at Costco, right? I grew up on Costco. So yes, I am a Costco file. And matter of fact, my wife was like, "It's weird. You were a single guy and you were going to Costco? I thought you had a secret family." I'm like, "Nah, baby. I just my dad just worked there. That's it." So, but yeah, that is my fun with maps. So, and to my point, there's no black people do not coagulate. They don't climb the economic ladder to recreate the hood. They just don't.
And they shouldn't.
So the idea of, we're going to lift up and we're going to do this, like, nah, there's no way that all of a sudden this is going to become prosperous.
And they tried that in Atlanta and it failed. That area where Holyfield was, now it's not Holyfield's house, it's Rick Ross's house. But that area over there, that was where all the 6 and 7 figured blacks lived.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happened? Same thing happened to PG County. They started bringing in their cousins. Cousins started hanging out. Then the cousins brought the drugs and the gangs and all that. Now it's a hood.
Yeah, always, man. That is the pattern, right? That is the pattern.
They can't separate.
No, and listen, and now that black people have literally run away from other black people run away from niggas. So what are they going to do? Right? And if I was living in one of these neighborhoods that they moved to, I'd be looking around like, hey, I don't want to see, a freaking Caprice on 26-inch Dayton's come Thanksgiving. I don't want to see that.
I don't want to hear your music from my bedroom.
Like straight up, man. And black people are moving away. Just like these cities are dying, man. Like Baltimore is like a reservation.
You guys sound like the reason why I said I think I'm going to try to raise my son a little bit anti-black, just slightly anti-black.
Well, you should.
Like 15-20%.
You dope, bro. All you got to do is take him sailing, right, and make sure he can read, and it'll all fall into place.
Math too. I got him, math quizzes and stuff because math is important.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's what I was saying. You make them functional, and then just like Roland Fryer. All you got to do is have a B average. Black kids will hate.
I just don't want my son growing up fighting in the per capita wars. That shit is sad.
No, sir. Dr. Kuhn, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Oh, he's up here?
Still working on this white paper, trying to format it correctly. So
okay. So you're saying that guy can't find anybody either?
Yeah, that's one of the things we were having a conversation about probably about I want to say about a week ago. He was stating that he originally used to reach out to a lot of black people, but he says that he finds now that more others actually follow through with the various training programs that his business offers. So.
You know, what's so weird about that? I saw a video. It was this older black guy, and he was explaining he had that exact same problem in his industry, and he was like, you know, these white boys, they get it together. They, you know, they get the bids, they get the job done, and it's cool. But you know, you try to get a bunch of black people together, and it's always a problem. And guess the industry. He was in logging, bro.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Black people log?
This is across. It's not just that; it's across the industries, though. And I don't even know if it's just a black thing per se. We kind of focusing on that, but this is a twofold thing. It's like there seems to be a problem across this country with, like, you know, the younger, I don't know what, Gen Z or millennial or whatever. There's, you know, that lack of drive when it comes to the job market. And then when you get to like the black thing, you know, if you're trying to have an all black whatever, it's very difficult, bro. You know, maybe if you have like a family, you can hire your teenage son, but other than that, I don't know how you make it work.
Yeah. Functional black people are too diverse to do that. Like, it will be hard to wrangle a bunch of like functional black people to do a specific thing. Right, they're gonna have their own interests, their own lives. They're gonna do their own thing, you know. And then when you try to do it, you always bump up against the culture that doesn't want hierarchy, that can't
That's
work
right.
together.
They hate it.
You know, that's why, you know, I posted before the about black male success is tightly correlated to military experience. Right, you learn hierarchy. You learn how to take orders from people not like you, and how to give orders to people not like you, and how to work with people who are dissimilar. And, you know, and that experience is a huge antidote to community culture.
I think that last part is key. How to just get along. Because, you know, taking orders is not the most complicated thing, but getting along outside of different social groups seems to be a problem.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I can't relate. I was San Diego was, you know, 5% black. So if you did anything that wasn't stereotypically black, back in the 80s, I was like the only black kid everywhere. So
Sound like my college, Texas A&M.
I had that experience as a young child, honestly. That was one of the benefits. And it's funny you say this. That was one of the benefits of being a military brat. Because I don't have direct military experience, but, you know, I did have that because I had a stepfather who was in the military. And so I understand I benefited just socially, being in different places around different people, having like the travel experience at a young age or whatever, like flying on planes at a young age. I was flying alone on planes because like my dad worked for an airline. He worked for TWA like right up until 9/11. And so like I would travel to go see my dad from wherever I was. So I'm like taking a plane from, you know, New York to Georgia, or from like Hawaii one time to New York or something. It was crazy, but I was traveling a lot. And so the military is a huge avenue, not just directly, you know what I mean? It's a huge avenue of experience and molding that a lot of, you know, the community just doesn't get.
Right. That is super true.
No, every time I hear Kalu say that, I have to giggle a little bit because
what's that?
The community ruined your college experience.
I mean,
doggone pro-blackness in the middle of one of the whitest cities in America, in Texas.
I mean,
I can hear that. I don't know, for some reason, I keep picturing Carlton trying to join the black frat. Every time, just you talking right now, that puts that in my head for some reason.
Yeah, man, it's like Clue could have had so much fun, man, and he knows it too, man. He knows.
I regret it. Why you think I want to move to South Dakota? I want to move to Sioux Falls because this is an exact replica of college. It's the same racial breakdown as Texas A&M University. I want to relive that, but with my mind I have now. I did A&M. I was wrong thinking in A&M. I missed out on so much.
Oh, he's like the golden era of A&M, man.
Wait. Yeah, when were you there?
98 to 2002.
Oh wow.
All right, here's a question. This is a fucked up question, but this is what I do. I'm not really solid on like what's the average IQ? Is it like 100?
110-ish.
Okay, and I'm just trying to find an average baseline. So, what do you suppose the average IQ for? What's the threshold IQ for Black people who want to get away from other Black people? Because there has to be some kind of IQ quotient going on here. Because it just seems to be a relatively steady phenomena that once you not even just make a certain amount of money, but like once you kind of just learn certain things, it's like, you know what? I like to live this kind of way, and I can't live this kind of way around people that look like me.
I
And
think
I'm
it's
just
above
wondering,
average.
yeah, I'm wondering if there's a number associated with this. Like, we can probably track this.
There is. Well, Roland Fryer did the work, right? But he just didn't correlate it to IQ. He correlated it to a B average. So whatever IQ it takes to have a B average, that's got to be.
Which is not all that much, honestly.
No. I mean, even if-
122 or something like that.
No. If the average is 100, you could probably be under 100 and still not want to be in the community. You could probably be like a 9. Look, average like IQ based on SAT test has Black people like 86. All right, so that's the Black people that are going to college. So I mean, you could be a 90 and not want to be around the community.
I'm thinking 95-ish. I think, the 90s are like the pro-Blacks. They got educated, but they still dumb.
Okay, I'll take that 95.
Well, what I've learned from the Chaotic Truth stream, what's his name? That guy that's mentally off, Dale. The lower the IQ, the more connected to Black you are. The more loyal to Black you are, the lower IQ.
Right. No, I'm kind of seeing that as well. So that's why I asked the question, because obviously it's easy, right? That's the easy thing. Like literally, it's the easy thing to just do what the niggas are doing.
I don't think that it's an IQ thing. I think it has more or less to do with the different conversation that we were having the other day. Conservative people having a desire for what's bad for themselves.
Wow. Like what they call that word? Not sadism, but the other one. Masochism.
Yeah, maybe along those lines, or even to the point of it's not wanting to face the fear of actually going out and being and almost with an explorer spirit.
Right, that's related. I think that is somehow related to Black people not being in the Navy, not being in the Navy, but not.
Oh no, it's simple.
Yeah,
The Black people not. I'm sorry.
I know
Black
they can't. Black people can't.
Black people can't swim.
I know, bro. Like, come on, I had to say it. I had to. I'm sorry. Now we can continue.
Well, SKC did a stream like last year somewhere. He said, blacks weren't allowed to have an imagination. Remember you did that stream?
Oh yeah.
It really wasn't. It's kind of frowned upon if you say that you have an imagination and that you have dreams.
Yeah, it was kind of connected to when we were talking about board games and also reading. And it's like whenever you're able to connect with other people and have I mean, they're not nightcaps as kids, but it's just being able to discuss things outside of, you know, like rap and sex and stuff like that. It's basically just the ability to have an imagination. Like take for instance this. Good grief. Has there ever been, or have you guys ever came across a kid in the hood that had an imaginary friend?
No.
I've
Not in the
only seen
hood.
that on television.
Not in the hood,
bro.
no.
I thought that was some like weird white people TV shit.
Drop Dead Fred or some shit.
Right? Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay. How about some sort of, I don't know, favorite toy like a bear or something like that?
No. In the hood, your favorite toy better be your Nintendo related.
Right. That's
You know.
young children are allowed that, you know.
But that's what I mean. It's like anything that would kind of facilitate imagination.
I see where you're getting. I know exactly where you're going, but I guess the sort of dearth of that shit is the point of your question, right?
And that's what I mean. It's like it would be difficult to have like those stories. Okay, here's the crazy thing about what I'm saying, Hood, and I think you could probably connect to this if you wanted to. You play this thing of Uncle Remus, right? I think you have a clip of like Uncle Remus.
Ruckus.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Uncle Remus,
Remus.
the one you introduced MOT with.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. It's actually the same. It's the same clip. Uncle Ruckus is at the end. Uncle Remus is the old black guy. Yeah.
Right. But did you know that the guy who helped to write the Uncle Remus series, it was like an Irish dude. He went into like a lot of the plantations and so forth. Black people eventually, you know, turned and, you know, stated, "Oh man, I don't like this stuff." Actually, it was black women that did it. It was Alice
Of
Walker
course.
and Toni Morrison. However, did you know that in England, Uncle Remus was a big thing? There were like a lot of white kids that grew up listening to their parents read them the Uncle Remus stories, and in fact, Paddington Bear and Winnie the Pooh, and it was like something else. I forgot the other like childhood story. It was a woman that wrote it. They all based it off of Uncle Remus.
You know what's so weird about this? And black people really can't conceive of this reality, and I consider it a reality because human beings are vastly complex in our emotional dealings and capacity or whatever, but black people really have a hard time conceiving of the fact that white people of that day would have a sort of loving, endearing feeling for Uncle Remus. And so it makes perfect sense to me that, you know, even white people as far away as, you know, England in the 50s or 60s or whatever would look at that character, you know, with some kind of loving affection. And it has nothing to do with a sense of racial superiority or whatever. It's just, you know, he's a charming old man.
It was even back further than that, Hood. When they wrote those stories, and that was like back in when they were writing the stories based upon Uncle Remus was in the late 1880s and 90s.
So this is actually people who are, you know, familiar with slavery and all that. You know,
Yep.
people are a lot closer to the problem.
Not far removed, yeah.
You know, this is kind of like the point I was making earlier about the conversation you and I were having the other day, and SKC, by the way, I really appreciate that. I enjoyed that conversation. Maybe it was the liquor too, but because like
possibly,
the chat is the chat, but I totally understand where you're coming from, even though I can't get there, but I understand. It's a place I would like to get to. I just can't see a path there. That's kind of what we're talking about. But the whole thing about when we got to the Thomas Sowell part, and still we're talking about, slavery and Uncle Remus and whatnot. But when we got to that Thomas Sowell part, and I told you, I don't know if it's just that black people chose to, ignore Sowell. I think, and this is what I was saying to Freeman, I think it was more like there was a battle for black people's souls, the hearts and minds of black folk, and the leftists kind of won. And from there on, the story about Uncle Remus would always be told in a way that, we're supposed to look at him as a slave, and white people can't have any love for him without it being a weird racial slave master kind of situation, right? And so, like, the narratives at that point all got hyper driven into a particular direction, and things just started to go from there.
Right. It is. Let me interject right here. It is a narrative, man. Like when everybody got mad at Pearl for saying people exaggerate slavery. The thing about slavery is it is a narrative. It is absolutely taught as a narrative. It is not taught as these are the events that happen, because it's taught in a way. It's like if you want to have a narrative, you need, and there are 100 facts, and you want to paint a narrative, you can only pick 20 of those facts, and you have to repeat them ad nauseum, because the facts that don't fit your narrative, are not going to be taught. Like if it's March 3rd, okay, I could pretty easily construct a test on Black history that and give that to a bunch of Black high school seniors, and they'll fail it. All I have to do is use data or use information that is outside of the narrative. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's like, okay, when was slavery first outlawed in any way in the U.S.? Right. That's a question for the panel. If do you know?
I have no idea, honestly.
I don't know either. You got me. I failed.
I know SKC knows. Right. Well, why do we have free states and slave states?
Yeah.
Northwest.
Oh.
The Northwest Ordinance, 1787.
Right.
So,
I never really thought about it that way either.
Yeah. So if your narrative is that the founding fathers had their pom-poms out for slavery, well, if you tell them that slavery was outlawed in half the country in 1787, that's not quite with that narrative. That comes out different, right? If you like Cassius Clay, like we know the name Cassius Clay because it was Muhammad Ali, right? But why would his mother name him Cassius Clay after an abolitionist? Because Cassius Clay was a gangster, like a gangster of an abolitionist, right? Your first real insurrections in the country were abolitionists.
Why is it that we all know about Muhammad Ali, but nobody makes the story of Cassius Clay a thing, like his namesake? Why? I mean, our hero chose that for a reason, and nobody ever tells us why. That's funny.
Yeah,
because the Cassius Clay era of him, there's not a lot of victim stories in that. It's a story of triumph.
He gave up his fortune as a white man who was a slave owner. He gave up his fortune, freed his slaves, campaigned against slavery as a dude living in Kentucky, right? Survived multiple assassination attempts, right? That is not part of the narrative. Part of the narrative is, all white people benefited from slavery. And slavery built the country. And if you ask somebody, don't ask me, so slaves built the free states too? When they were 1-2% of the population were free blacks? Well,
that's the yeah, that's the weird part about a lot of those conversations is that they want to take a really simplistic approach to complex people. Take for instance Thomas Jefferson. It's no, he could either be a staunch down racist or or not. It's just basic, or he was just a perfect white man. And of course, you just mentioned about the Northwest Ordinance. So how could you be a racist if you wrote the Northwest Ordinance, or if you were impressed with Benjamin Banneker? So it's just weird how they the type of revisionist history that they like to engage in. And I guess it's one of the reasons why I'm always stating, hey, let's slow this point down and really think about a lot of the context around it before moving forward, because there's so many gems that rest in a lot of the conversations, but people just want to gloss over them really quickly to try to substantiate their point.
Hey, I got a great historical factoid. I just learned this, right? Two things I learned at the same time, right? So a story was going out on Twitter, like a little news headline, that Beyonce ancestor, right, who married her slave master. So you're talking about a black slave woman who marries her arguably white slave master, right? And especially, Beyonce comes from light-skinned people anyway. There's a whole story to that too, right? But so I see this tweet and I'm like, so a slave woman fell in love with her slave master, because marriage, it's not like she just had his baby. They got married. So I'm like, I retweeted that picture and I'm like, well, y'all owe Thomas Jefferson an apology. And then somebody, one of my followers or somebody I think I know from one of my chats too, they're responding on Twitter. They're saying, in response to me saying you owe Thomas Jefferson an apology, they're saying, Sally Hemings, I think that's, Thomas Jefferson's, mistress or whatever you want to call it. She was essentially a white woman. Like, she gets depicted as black and modern depictions, but according to at least this one guy, she was pretty much indistinguishable from white, because there was a lot of that sort of thing going on. So like, if you're a slave master, right, you could have sex with one of your slaves and make a mixed baby, right? And so now you have mixed children on a plantation, mixed light-skinned slaves. And so another slave master comes along and has sex with that mixed baby, an extra light-skinned person. And at that point, you might even have a person who is indistinguishable. Because, after the first admixture, on another white parent, and boom, you basically can produce, essentially white children. And then if you do that, even then from those generations, the children are effectively white to anyone's eyes, right? And so there's a lot of people who are basically slaves right before the Civil War who were white as anybody that you would call a Yankee. And so for Thomas Jefferson to have, an essentially white slave actually kind of does make perfect sense if you understand how it works.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think there's so much race mixing. We're about to start getting a lot of that Brazil type one-offs, where they'll have one child that's blonde and blue-eyed and one that's like caramel skin with curly hair.
At least we'll be beautiful though.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Yeah, I think that's going to start happening more and more, because I mean, I don't know. I'm in the South more, and I see a lot of Caucasians with some wide noses and bigger lips, and I'm just like, come on, man,
Topanga types.
Mm-hmm. Totally, totally, man. As a matter of fact, I totally remember this. I was re-imaging some computers, and on the desk of one of the computers, it's a family photo, mother, father, 2 kids, and the one son looked like a black guy that got hit with Caucasian spray paint. And I was just like, what? I was sitting there staring at it because I went and looked, and I'm like, well, do they look alike? Is he adopted? I'm like, same nose, same cheekbones. He just had like real coarse hair, and like a kind of slightly square jaw, but they were all obviously related. And I was just like, bro, those recessive traits, dude. So I think that's going to be a reality soon. We're going to get the Brazil thing popping off in the South.
So why did we have to wait until Quentin Tarantino's Django to see a good hero slave master character portrayed in a movie?
That's a great point. I love Django. Like, I don't like watching slave stuff, period. But I will watch Django over and over. I have watched Django over and over again. It's a great epic tale. It has so
Christoph
many
Waltz
elements.
owned Django, but nobody
It doesn't
calls him
matter.
racist or nothing. He's a good guy.
Doesn't matter. Right. That was a great white man, and you said you leave him be.
You get jumped talking about him.
Nah, Django had so many like layers. Like if you start talking about the elements of a great story, the elements of great film, and all that, I think Django really does go up there. And people don't. I don't think it'll ever get its credit because it had like the elements of like a buddy story. Then there's the whole hero epic. You know, the kind of the light dusting of the Broomhilda story. You know, I forgot the name of the German actual story or whatever, but that little scene where he was like, well, I have to help you get your Brunhilde, like that connection to it all, it gave it sort of a grand epic sort of feel to it. Like he's not just getting his girl back, he's like rescuing his princess from an evil tyrant, from a dragon, you know what I mean? It gave it a grandiose sort of feel, and it was, you know, it was a Western. There was so much to the movie that I was just like, this is fucking dope, bro. I don't know why I was tripping about white people saying the N-word. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah, did you hear about how it was Tarantino and Spike Lee? They don't get along, and Spike Lee was like, "I got a problem with you throwing the N-word around your movies and all that," and Tarantino was like, "Spike." In Django, the black woman is the damsel in distress and the motivation for the top 3 or the top 2 actors in the movies. Where's your movie like that? The nigga couldn't say anything. Where's yours? You had all the time in the world to come up with a movie where the black woman is the hero, is the one everybody wants to save. I got away from me.
I mean,
you worried about
it's
the N-word?
It's crazy how a white guy can make
nigga, man.
A white guy made one of the best black stories in the history of film.
I want that to continue to happen. In fact, I wish that white people would start making some more slave movies, but feature like a lot of the abolitionists and stuff.
Yeah, the other side of the story.
All the things that they had to give up, and the friends that they lost, and you know, all that type of stuff. Because I mean, it's never talked about.
A Schindler's List type of slave movie.
To your point, SKC, about imagination, right? The Communita only has one story about slavery. Right?
Yeah, that's why I brought up Django.
Have you
Took
ever
that
seen
long to get a
Winter?
second story.
Have you ever seen Winter in a slave movie?
Wow.
You ever seen Winter?
Wow. I'm thinking
Right?
about one.
It's all beatings and picking cotton and escaping master. Right? That's why the slave narratives aren't taught. Because if you, again, if you tell a student, hey, this former slave returned and took care of their master after slavery, they'd be like, what?
Yo, that's crazy, bro. It's always summer in slavery.
I'm trying to find a movie where it's snowing in a slave movie and I can't find it.
Yeah, really. It's like, if you're gonna tell a story, what did slaves do in the winter? All right, they like built roads, and then like, who is it? Who is that? DeSantis. Oh, they learned skills. What do you think they did in the winter? Carpentry.
That's why Django was so dope. You know what he learned how to do in the winter? Kill white people. Like, it was such a dope movie, bro.
It is. It deserved its Oscars.
Spent this whole winter training for that one thing. Like, I waited my whole life for this job, bro.
And Tarantino, if you think about it, Jackie Brown is another movie where he made the hero black, and Spike Lee hadn't responded to it. It's like, bro, I've earned the right to say nigga in my movies. I mean, look at the content.
Yeah, man. I think to your point, SKC, the imagination or just the telling of information that is outside the narrative, like just the whole concept of slave narratives, right? As if, it's everybody that owned slaves was just beating them 24/7.
Yeah, that shit. Yeah.
Economic component, like, bro, if you had a plantation with a nuclear family and a couple of foremen, and you had 20 slaves, right? What happened that they weren't just up and murdering you, right? I mean, there were slave rebellions, don't get me wrong, obviously, but is the story more complex that when you take into account that slaves weren't just wantonly murdering, you know what I mean, throughout the history of slavery in America?
And what was going on for all the slaves that did not know that they were free? They must have been treated pretty good if by the time, slavery was outlawed, they didn't want to go.
There was this other story that I found interesting. I forget the name of the black woman who she owned like one of the first black banks. It was like a penny savings and loans or something like that. They a few years ago they erected a statue to her somewhere in Virginia. But when I was looking this thing up, I found this so interesting. They were erecting a statue to her, and at the same time, people were going ham over Confederate statues. And her father was a Confederate soldier.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the black woman who opened, the first black bank. It was like something penny savings and loan or whatever. They erected a statue to her a few years ago. And that's the same time around everybody was going nuts about the Confederate soldier statues and all of that stuff and taking down statues.
Of Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Wait, so hold up.
And they didn't, nobody sat and just did the research that this woman that you guys just erected a statue to, her father was a Confederate soldier.
Well, one, trust me, somebody knows. And then two, you're trying to tell me that in the same way they say that we deserve reparations because those same institutions and banks that were running around back then are still around now, and they profited directly. So therefore, we should get money from this black lady's bank too, right?
There's the argument.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Because I mean, if her dad's a Confederate, then obviously her money came straight from slavery.
The other argument I thought that what's his name, Delano Squires made was great when he stated basically, how can you be pro reparation and pro student loan forgiveness at the same time? I mean,
either you owe or you don't, right?
Yeah, you're viewing them both as debts. So it's like you're stating that they owe you a debt, but then you want these people to release a debt. It's like
should cancel each other out, really.
Well, shoot, man, the community.
I mean, that's a whole other argument.
Yeah, the Community Reinvestment Act has sent billions towards Black people. I mean, it hasn't helped, but hey, are you guys?
Of course, it hasn't.
Are you guys familiar with the Community Reinvestment Act?
Only in name. I'm not sure how it's
I don't know the details
really
or who set it forth.
Let me give you the TLDR in real estate terms. So basically, you take a map of a given municipality and you draw a circle around black people, and then you draw another circle. Well, you just draw a kind of a shape around where you want to send extra money. So what happens is within that shape of black people, which is usually the worst areas for black people, you get subsidized to build buildings. So if you want to build a strip mall, right, and it's going to cost you, let's say $2 million, the city will step in and front you, let's say $200K or $250K. So you get a subsidy to put it there. So literally, ghettos across the country are subsidized to exist, literally. So it's like the hood is not a real place. Like, that's why I call it a de facto reservation, because of the Community Reinvestment Act. These places still exist. They would not be there normally. Like the process we see now of everybody evacuating and the stores being gone and whatnot, that would have happened in the 70s. If
You
not
know,
for
this
the
is so
Community
fucked up.
Reinvestment Act.
I've been watching all these videos of India, and I've been saying India is not a real place. And here you give me conclusive proof that the hood is not a real place. Like, you just took my home from me. This is terrible. This is heartbreaking news. And I've been talking all this shit.
The hood is theoretical.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get up in the morning, man. I'm gonna listen for a little while. I'm gonna catch y'all later. All right.
All right, later.
All right.
Yeah, so it wouldn't actually exist if not for the Community Reinvestment Act. Right? It would have been gone. Just would have been gone. So all these subsidies are for naught. Basically, it allowed like the worst neighborhoods to continue. And now they're like de facto reservations. So yeah. I just thought about that. I was like, wow, I didn't really think about it. I've been going to CRA meetings, right? Because I usually actually I got a property that's just outside of it. I was like, dang it. So if I tried to build on that or turn it into a little like little strip mall, I wouldn't get any cash because I'm like 200 yards on the wrong side of a line on a map. But
jeez, man. Oh man, yeah. I don't know. When I look at all this stuff, man, and that's why I really enjoy chatting with all of you. Is I love going into the details of certain matters and getting a fuller understanding of of a lot of narratives that people put forth. And it kind of it perturbs me a little bit of why people don't like the details, but then I remember who I'm dealing with, and then it just becomes funny.
well, the details ruin the narratives. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Because if you're like, okay, so also the Community Reinvestment Act is what Democrats kind of leverage to force banks, right? Because it's been amended over the years to force banks to lend to black people. So if you're a bank and, you know, let's say 2% of your home loans go to black people, you know, some Democrat's going to say, oh, nice bank you got there. You know, I don't think you're lending enough to minorities. So what happens is that's what started the home loan crisis. We're going to lend to people who aren't credit worthy, but we're going to abrogate the credit risk by forming a collateralized debt security. And then, since it's working so well, Congress is going to actually encourage it, right? So now when everything gets turned inside out, who's going to lose their homes first? The people who really weren't qualified to have them anyway.
There you go.
And so in the end, you didn't actually help them.
Put them in more debt.
Yeah, they got jaded, got their home taken away. And, you know, it would have been better had they just develop the habits that it takes to be a homeowner.
It's odd that you say this, Freeman, because after I was having that conversation, I was thinking principally along the same lines of I think some people who are complaining about the marriage thing, it's like you don't have the skills or the I don't know how to put it, but all of the things that are necessary in order to make that a successful endeavor in the first place. And I don't know how people are supposed to acquire those things with the current desires that they have.
Yeah, true. I see what you're saying. I mean, from personal experience, I sought mentors because I knew I didn't have the skills. So, that was a desire to learn them, right? So I found someone to mimic, so that I could learn them. And if your mindset is of such that you eschew those values and those lessons, you're probably fail somewhere along the way, or you fail to put something in your kids that they make good decisions.
Yeah, because there's certain aspects of that okay, so when I was having the discussion and I was stating, hey, how are you guys okay, and I don't mean to go into some type of long form thing on this, but and maybe you can help me out with this clue because I'm really trying to understand. Why would you need to have a lot of experience with whores in order to know how to vet?
That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't understand. Man, he barely got out of there.
I'm liking these boats though, Friedman.
Yeah, I love this type of stuff, man. But I just never understood that concept. Like, what do you mean? I want to introduce these dudes need to have a bunch of life experience with as many whores as possible in order to know how to pick a good girl. I'm like, what?
No, you can have experience with good girls and know how to pick a good girl.
Right.
It's possible. You can have a lot of friends, female friends, as a young person. In your 20s. I don't think older men should have female friends, but as a young person, you can have female friends. That'll teach you how to vet for a good wife.
Well, more than you let your son or daughter. Well, you control their environment, right? I mean, if you only hang out with married people, they're going to pick it up via osmosis.
Yeah.
It's not like I gotta sleep with all these other chicks. No.
Yeah, be around married people. Yeah. Church, community service. You can be around married people.
Like I went to church today, and it's like there's no. And I go to a straight WASP church, and it's where, and there are men. Best men's ministry I've been to. Lots of men in the church, lots of kids in the church, right? The whole, they had like this little display out front about passing Christ down through the generations. And I was like, I am all about that. Hell yeah. And having gone there, it's just proven to be like it, you know. And being in that environment, you see it day to day to day to day to day. So it's not like, you know, it's something that you just know innately, you know, because that's how culture works. It's just blind copying. So, you know, freak stuff it has no allure, you know, you know, not that there's a temptation out there, but a lot of that freak stuff just doesn't have the same attraction for people that grew up, you know, around a lot of successful married people. It just doesn't.
I think some of it has to do with from an early age being able to recognize some of the pitfalls in some of those decisions. Like I mean, okay, I give a really quick example. I don't know if it was like this for you, Clue, or you, Freeman, but in school, where I went to, being a very licentious person, being known as that was not a good thing. You did not want to have that reputation.
Right.
Could you define that word for me?
Being able to run around the school and say, you know, oh, I didn't F no horn. It's like that wasn't a good thing. You did not want to have that that reputation.
Exactly. No. And that's why I picked a school that is run by a church. And a lot of the students, probably, I don't know, half or more of the students that go there also attend the church. So you can't just do that, right? It's like self-governing. Nobody wants their son to be the guy who's going around deflowering a bunch of chicks.
Yeah.
Like, you lose your whole social network.
There it was right there. It would affect your social network.
Yeah,
because people wouldn't view you as trustworthy.
No, I mean, bro, that's the thing about when they talk about patriarchy and the red pill and having to bed all these women, it doesn't work like that. Patriarchy restricts men as much as it does women. You know, there is no men don't get a free pass to go. The last thing you want to do is have your son go out and ruin your social standing. I mean, yes, there are, you know, licentious women in society at large, right? Outside of your group, sure, that exists. But like in your group, no. And if you've had to exist in your group for 18 years as a male, you kind of figure some things out. And maybe you do some things, you know, but ultimately you're gonna want to be with a woman that reflects your values.
You were shamed for being a philanderer. Philanderer, that's not a compliment. It wasn't a compliment in those days. Oh, he's a philanderer. Nah.
No, not at all. Philanderer, gambler, you know, reprobate.
That just means you're weak.
Yeah,
can't say no.
All went hand in hand. You know, and honestly, I think that's where it kind of ran off the rails for America. A lot of it post World War II, because that's when Playboy started in the 50s, and Playboy as a concept pre World War II would have been unthinkable. I mean, there's no way. But post World War II, they started that path, and you know, I think a lot of what is that? That's San Diego. I think that's San Diego. No, that's not San Diego. Never mind. I'm looking at the picture. I think a lot of that may have jump started second wave feminism.
Yeah, that's the women's lib stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of that was a reaction to philandering males and the Don Draper and all that. But it's just just a theory.
No, man, it's Oh, okay. There's another idea I was playing around with. I don't know if it's just the corn thing with people, but the idea that that all people are a certain way. Man, it's almost like you. I don't know. Are people projecting? I guess what they do because they can't. I would say even accept that there may be people that operate in a totally different way than they do.
Well, I think human, well, not human nature, but how do I want to put it? Like when the Bible talks about all women are the same, essentially, I kind of agree. But the difference is the culture that women come from, and that can be enforced at the country demarcation. It can be enforced at the family demarcation. Actually, now that I think about it, it is enforced at all those demarcations. It is enforced at the family. It is enforced in the country, and it is also religious. So if you come from a certain culture and a certain religion, and a certain family, the way you act as a person is going to be markedly different. And I think when you start to talk about that and you say, well, maybe, yeah, at a base biological level, sure, but there are differences you can look for to abrogate maybe your risk in marriage and stuff like that. And, even that type of thinking is rejected. All right. Like I've never, been on a panel and such and said, hey, you can do these things to abrogate the laws, right? Why not just look at successful marriages and maybe try some of what they're doing? Oh no, everyone's getting divorced. You're gonna lose your shirt. Your wife's gonna cook you.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out. I gotta drive in the morning. Gotta hit the road. I'll be in the chat for a little bit.
All right. Actually, I'm about to head out too. I didn't realize it was almost. How long has this been? 3 hours? Oh, holy smokes!
Said the Freeman Marathon. Freeman Marathon. Yeah, let me not let you go too far, man. I'll catch up with you later.
All right, later, Skissy. All right, thanks for tuning in, folks. All 10 of you that are left, enjoy your evenings. God bless you. Take care of your families, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.